to your greatness, famous for the way up, play the game, bruh. Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah. You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'm ever stopping. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building a dynasty while the haters be trying me, but they hate from inside. You see, hate themselves in society, so I let them speak quietly while my actions speak wider. See, they be hiding in privacy with the screen. Oh, the irony to hate someone who's trying to be whatever they would like to be. We all feel the anxiety, we make our own rivalries. Yo, so where is all the positivity? I feel like we all just hate on everything, it's killing me. Thoughts build quick, causing different possibilities. Negative thoughts will cause different disabilities. So do better, work hard under pressure. If you got no time, work smarter than ever. Don't ever let them tell you that you can't never say never. And turn your mind into the truest to go-getters. Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah. You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'm ever stopping. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah. Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah. No, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pace.
Hello and welcome to the Altered Weekly Online League Wednesday weekly number 15, the final chance to qualify for the season invitational this Saturday. I am the tallest person in Altered. Joining me is who are you?
Some people may know me as the guy that tells you no on Discord, but I am Simon, the forerunner for AWOL and its progenitor.
That's a reference right there.
Is it?
I don't know. It sounded like it. It sounded like a mix of Halo and Alien or something.
Oh no, that was all just off the cuff. I'm skilled like that, don't you know?
Yep. You were a rapper before you got deep into Pokemon, so.
I don't know about that one. My flow game is weak.
All right. If you are in the chat, go ahead and sound off. Let us know if you can hear us. Everything looks good. On my end, I'm showing everything is working, but you never know.
I don't think we've had a single person type in chat, which is crazy. First person that says first in chat gets a thumbs up from me.
Let's see. Oh, I should probably.
That's not a first, that's a hello. That's different, Rune Folk.
I should probably share the stream to my sections. All right, 6 minutes to go. It's not the big invitational with everyone included, but who's gonna win the night? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a Fen player or a Tasia player. I think that both of those have very good chances at winning any event basically here in AWOL with the new patch. I think that we could see a Kojo spike, just because that is a very popular character. But overall, I think that it's going to end up being Ben or Tasia tonight. I haven't looked at our player list yet. I'm sure there are strong players from all of them. Speaking of our player list, it looks like we've got some increase in attendance tonight. Why do you think that is?
Because of me being on the cast and also reminding new people that there is another tournament going tonight if you missed out signing up for the one on Sunday. Also, love seeing both Keelan Guy and Rune Cheese, whoever that is, signing up just now. Uh, they very classically give tournament organizers a hard time by waiting until the very last minute.
Speaking of, I'm answering some questions in the Discord because we've had a bunch of new joiners in this past week. And we have new people playing in AWOL for the first time. It's really exciting. You want to talk about a little bit on why we have so many new joiners this week?
Yeah, so if you've been living under a rock, but are a rock. Anyways,
Ah,
that was
terrible. That
not
was an
intentional.
awful pun.
Uh, and you're watching this stream for the first time and hearing about it, or you're watching the VOD. Shout out to the YouTube frogs. We, along with Equinox and our lovely people that are in chat that I mentioned, the AWOL admin and caster team, are hosting a demo deck tournament on Sunday with
Yeah.
Equinox. And these demo decks are not the ones that you're used to from set one. These are brand new decks that were made to show off Whispers from the Maze, and found out a lot of new things today, like the cap for tournaments on Board Game Arena as a whole is 512, and it cannot go higher than that. And that 512 people will sign up within 7 minutes to play a starter deck tournament. So
I did the math and it was even crazier than 7 minutes. It was actually 5 minutes.
wonderful.
Um, But yeah, it was impressive. We had a huge amount of community outpouring to play in this. And I can only imagine what future events that are online and officially partnered will look like, whether they're with us or with other groups. So that is a wonderful sign for the game. Very happy to see everything that happened. A little sad that there's some people that couldn't get in. Maybe we'll find out some ways to circumvent that for this one or in the future. But regardless, very cool seeing 512 people be so excited to play Altered. They specifically capped the registration. There was 300 people within like 30 seconds. I refreshed and it was like already up to 300. It was crazy. But lots of new people tonight. It looks like we're between 50 to 60 people for our Wednesday tournament, which means that the 6 rounds should be just perfect for determining one single undefeated. For those of you who do care about that. You have any predictions on what you think is going to win tonight, Cole?
Oh, I usually like to try and predict more by the people playing than specifically what hero is strong right now. Because a hero is only as good as their pilot for the most part. I'm gonna say that Arthur Bacalar is how I say it. It's probably wrong, is going to come out with a vengeance after taking second in Ace and is going to win. And I believe that he has been playing Sigismar and lost only to Visitor Q's Tasia on Sunday. Um,
Now, I do have a very interesting question.
I have a very interesting answer as always.
Can you see what my elo is on Board Game Arena?
Yes, I know what you're. I don't even have to look you up, but sure. Let me go click on your name. We have.
I don't know how to find my own. I'm trying to find out if I have more elo than every other player in this tournament.
Oh, just sign up for the tournament and then you'll see.
See, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can double queue.
You do not, because you only have 461.
Ah, that's right. I just lost a game and lost 12 points. That's why. Keylong Guy still would have had more than me though, so darn. Looks like I'm cheering for Argon 11 today.
That is an interesting point. We do not have any of the 500 plus Andes in the stream
It's
today.
true. I wonder what.
Um,
I wonder if Freeloader has any thoughts on the ELO rankings for today's tournament.
oh wait, no Reno signed up after Keelan guy. No Reno is not in the 500 club. Oh, what? That's got to be
Does
a
not
new
look like
account.
that.
Or, Reno's just the face, the beauty of AA. I'm trying to get into table 2. As you said, you are rooting for Argon 11.
Oh,
We
of course. We need to make sure that the ELO gets fairly distributed today.
Yep, we are on to the races. I am getting into that game as soon as it loads up here. It's loading the art, and there we go. All right. So table 2, Argon 11 on Basira versus the Keelan guys Fen, who he's been practicing a good amount of Fen lately from what I've heard. And I will get you the gameplay here once OBS recognizes that, hey, I have BGA open, which sometimes takes a second.
Keylong Guy had a very strong opener, arguably one of my favorite openers with Fen. Starting off with that very powerful one mana magical training, getting to see what your opponent wants to commit to and see if you can stop their plays. Then following it up with a powerful 2-cost character, and in this case, probably one of the most powerful 2-cost characters you could play in Fen, which is that Hathor. Having that support ability to pick up a card from your reserve, letting you replay things over and over again. In fact, the only card I could think of that may have been better there would have been that rare Ouroboros Inkcaster, which I am sure Keelan Guy is playing in his list at some point.
Yeah, I love Hathor, Martingale. Inkcaster isn't as exciting, but it is a very good card.
Inkcaster is
Um,
amazing. That card is fantastic. Ooh, the Basira dropping the Occlute immediately, targeting down maybe both of the characters from Fen. I think that's what I would do if I was them. Force them to have a character to react. Um, and if they don't have a 1-cost character, they're going to be having to discard cards to their reserve, which is not where you want to be early on in the game.
this matchup is actually very interesting. One thing I noticed about Fen is later in the game, it's actually going to be very hard for Basira to entirely shut down the reserve from Fen. That turn right there was really good because it not only takes out the characters of
I was just.
Hathor
Mhm.
and Martingale, but also the quick actions. But if the fan loads this up, it's going to be almost impossible to stop because they'll just have another Hathor or another discount or something like that, or they'll pick up the Hathor back into hand from a card.
Now, what is more than likely going to happen in this situation is to avoid the Occlute play, I would not be surprised to see the Keylong guy use this Hathor's ability to pick up the Aloe Vera that they just resupplied, and then use the Martingale to play something else. Um, it does lead to a situation where the Basira might be able to keep the Occlute for their turn, and playing the Occlute when you have the first priority is much stronger than playing it when you have the when you don't have the first player marker. So I'm curious to see which option Keelangai goes for here. I don't know the contents of his hand, so I can't say with a certainty, but I believe that if I personally was in this situation, I think that I am using the Hathor's ability to pick up the Aloe Vera and then playing out the Martingale from the reserve on my companion expedition, or maybe even my hero expedition.
Yeah. I mean, you could also do a mix of both. But it looks like Keelan Guy opts for discounting the Aloe to then pay to anchor. So essentially, free anchor there and keep the Hathor in reserve.
And this Haven Bravos Bastion is very solid here, getting to see what the Fen is going to play out, having access to contest on either expedition, because with Basira, you will now become a 5/5/5 in your stats with the Bravos Trailblazer. Now, if the Basira in this situation, it didn't look like they did, but there is a world in which they have a Fire Rabbit in hand. And I think they could actually tie an expedition and advance on the other. I didn't do the math though, so don't quote me.
I never do the math, so you don't have to worry about that.
Love it. Love to hear it. Now, the play that they've gone for here, also for the Keelan guy, allows them to play around this Akhlut's devastating ability, specifically because they're going to have access to at least 4 cards in their reserve this turn. So the Akhlut is almost forced to target down the Hathors here, which means that any other targets that get resupplied by the Fen are not that great for the Akhlut to pick, just because the Hathors can pick them up if you allow it. It looks like they did get a little bit lucky. The Haven Siren Gar is not that powerful here because double solo expeditions that are not on grass means that it is not that strong of a play. Um, and the acapella training is not that powerful if they choose to play out both of their cards from the reserve this play or this turn.
Yeah, we're already seeing exactly what I was talking about. Basira is going to be able to exhaust 3 cards here, but almost any way that you pick it, it's going to still leave access to Fen for something. I think the Haven Serengar is the one that definitely gets the third. Yep, there it is.
Yeah,
So
leaving the acapella training here seems like a fine choice. Um, and you're right. I entirely missed the fact that the Haven was also going to give another boost to the Aklut, targeting down 3 things. I was operating under the assumption it was going to be 2, and I completely missed on that.
yeah, but the in this case, like you said, the acapella training isn't the strongest of the 4 here, and especially if we just see the Chiron come out, there's really no use in playing the acapella training because both things. Ooh, that's a good one though. The
The,
cloth cocoon.
the Cloth Cocoon is definitely powerful. It means that if they choose to play this Chiron from the reserve, um, then they have no mana left to do anything. If they choose to play something from their hand, it can get acapella training. See, and right here, this Fen was almost entirely unaffected by this play. Um, they only are trading expeditions, which is reasonable at this stage in the game. The Basira player, oh, it's not even trading expeditions. The Anansi comes out and is actually going to cause a double advancement, at the cost of getting rid of an extra card from the reserve in the evening. But I think that Keelan Guy would be pretty happy with that trade off there. Taking that advantage and gaining an expedition instead of losing an expedition seems like a pretty solid deal to me.
Yep.
And to answer Blue's question from the YouTube stream, I am a little sad that our old friend is not here today, but nevertheless, we will succeed without him.
Yeah, I'm not super fluent in the names of the cards for next set yet, but seeing how Fen operates right now, and especially with the Anansi play and just piling up the reserve, this type of deck is just going to get stronger next season.
Yeah, we've
There,
already. Go ahead.
yeah, there's a character that doesn't count in reserve. There's
Yeah, the
a
Lyra
landmark.
Contortionist.
Yeah. This is I don't know if off the top of my head I can think of anything that stops. Well, there is the one Ordis card. But that's just one card.
Looks like we're gonna see a Garrick Revered Duelist Unique coming out. Now, these cards are legal now with the most recent changes in the game.
Are you seeing how this unique is displayed? I think this is brand new. I've never seen the effect 0,
I
effect 1,
believe
effect 2.
oh, hold up. There we go. I was behind. Let's see. Effect 1, effect 2. Yeah, that looks normal to me.
I don't remember seeing that before, but maybe I just never paid that much attention.
I think it's interesting that they chose to play it to sabotage the Anansi because right now they are running a very real risk of getting double advanced on yet again.
Yeah, that one in Mountain especially is not super strong, and the 4 in Water is nice, but the Haven Serengar has a 4 in Forest, which is one of the key regions Fen needs on that companion side.
Now we're in a interesting situation where the stats are currently lining up so that there's a double advancement happening. The Basira could have a mana eruption or an intimidation in the hand. Um, both of which don't seem like that appealing of options. I suppose a mana eruption on the Nyala here would not be the worst case because you just each advance one expedition. Now the intimidation instead is a little bit worse depending on what it's going to target. Yep, so the Nyala will return to the hand, but the overall effect still ends up being the same. But the downside here is that we're getting close to the end of the game, and Vasir is starting to run out of cards. Fen has efficiently used their mana and drawn cards traded favorably throughout the course of the game to the point where they have 8 cards to work with this turn and 8 mana, while the Basira player has 4 cards to work with, literally half the amount.
Yeah. Were you saying that the math lined up the same no matter what was intimidated?
So
Um,
no, I was saying the intimidation versus the mana eruption. The mana eruption would have permanently answered
oh yeah.
that the Nyala Gifted Conjurer. But for example, the Nyala can still be played now, and if they would like
Mhm.
to, they can pick up this Twinkle Twinkle and put something else down, and they're then threatening if they have, say, for example, another Twinkle Twinkle, the opportunity to get a double advancement. Um, because this Nyala can pick up the Twinkle Twinkle and Sleep Sleep, depending on what the board state looks like, and proceed to move twice.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to compare the stats. I would assume that the Nyala is what put it over. I guess that makes sense because Nyala is 3/3.
The
Either,
Nyala caused a tie.
yeah, but it is like you said, not not the one I would want to give Fen back in hand.
And now this off you go. Ooh, okay. Still contesting threes on both sides. There will be the extra boost from Basira to push it to 4.
What is this Garrick's quick action? Oh, that is a good one. The next character you play this turn costs 1 less.
It
Oh,
is meaningful if they have a Fire Rabbit in hand, but I think they're more than likely going to be trying to keep this Garrick. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there should also be an Anansi in the hand of Keelangai. Um, it was picked up by the Ouroboros Inkcaster.
yep.
So they can go Anansi on the companion expedition, have 6 in stats compared to 4 and win there. And then they could play, if they choose to reduce the cost with the Ouroboros Inkcaster, they could then play out the Nyala and tie the expedition on the hero side. I'm not sure what they're going to go with. They have some time to make their decisions. Here comes out a Nancy play that I anticipated, being able to stonewall and advance past that Trailblazer. Curious to see if they're going to do anything else with the mana they have. Um, Here comes the Nyala. It will block the expedition. I'm curious. Okay, they pick up the magical training for an after you type effect, and it looks like they might. Oh, they don't even need to immediately play it. They have a studious disciple with that cost reduction, which is going to cause a double advancement, winning them the game. So very well played by the Keylong guy. Actually, the game's not over because it's not after night. With the new changes checking, they have to discard to the reserve. But there we go. Keylong guy takes the win over Argon 11.
Yeah, that was a very good Fen performance. I think that just continues to solidify in my mind that Fen is the best deck right now. I am going to jump straight into table 8 as we
Table
talk.
8.
It has a lower amount completed. Its Rinku is a newer player that we saw joining events within the last 2 weeks
Yep.
and is on
In
Sigismar.
in fact, their BGA account was created on March 31st of this year. I did the math because I was checking out other things today, and they are a very, very new player, but they have been doing very well in their tournaments so far.
Yep, yep. And 445 elo is more than I've ever had, and I've been playing this game for a long time. To take it back to Blue's question, my elo is 100, and I embody the spirit of what Simon said but doesn't practice earlier in the Discord.
Who cares about Elo?
Yeah, uh-huh. I feel like I'm literally the only person that can get away with saying that by now.
I mean, just because I have Elo doesn't mean I care about it.
You should do 10 reps on my arrow stick then.
Send me the link. I bet I could win with it. Maybe not all 10 games, but I bet I could win with it. Are the unique something Cole would play?
Yep. They're all they're two Eros uniques and a Ganesha unique.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
All right. Back to the game at hand. We have completely tied expedition advancements so far from the Sigismar and Lindaway. About equal on card advantage, but with the Sigismar not being able to have access to the Baba Yaga rare because of the suspension list, we might start seeing them run out of cards sooner rather than later. Especially since the Lindaway player is going to have this Moonlight Jellyfish, which they can sacrifice to the Baba's Izba and draw a card.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the theme or style of the Sigismar deck is, and I think that play just answered it. I was looking for a landmark or a special type of interaction, but it is what I would just say is Monolith Bastion Siggy. I will give you a hot insider look at something that Keelan guy has been preparing. I wonder if he has a name for this variation. Monolith. So, in Keelan's words, Monolith makes use of an aggressive game plan, taking an off turn to deploy the expensive and powerful Monolith or Bastion, and then heavily contests the Tumult with boosted characters and tokens. Flexible removal options and disruptive effects are key here. And to Keelan's credit, I think seeing 2 teamwork trainings in the discard already just goes to show how well he knows the meta.
And 2 field reinforcement commons too, which I can only assume were played quite early on, which are very, very strong cards on those first couple turns of the game. Kind of almost replacing the Baba Yaga in a way, but not perfectly because it can only make a 1/1/1 and draw you a card on the first turn. And it does not go to the reserve because it has fleeting. But it is still a cool card to have access to that occasionally you can do a little bit of more with because of the monolith.
Yeah, this so blue's backing me up here that this effect 0 and effect 1 thing on uniques is new.
Oh, those. I did not understand
Yeah.
what you were saying.
Yeah. So it
Yeah,
used to just have the reference Alt Core B.
yeah.
So I wonder if they're cooking something in the database and we just haven't
Interesting.
seen it yet. Um, as the chat is debating whether Grand Endeavor and SSGL are dead or not, I will say, was it Monday? It was one of the tournaments this week. I think it was Monday because I think you were dealing with it, weren't you, Simon? Where a double
I
Grand Endeavor
was.
bugged the whole game.
Yes, and I upvoted that post, and it allegedly got fixed today, which is very cool to see. The BGA devs, if you ever have bugs, are usually very on top of fixing them. If you can provide the table number, the reference number, and everything they're looking for, the only one that we've had struggles with are Floral Tent and I believe Hooked. But that is something that they are aware of.
Yep. If they are hard for the dev to reproduce or figure out why it's an issue, it'll take a little longer. But if it's something that just is like, oh yeah, that shouldn't happen, they are so incredibly quick at fixing it. Also, I submitted a bug report like 2 months ago because no one else had mentioned it to the devs about how your hero picture is not correct on your deck.
Hmm.
And he was like, "Oh, no one told me about that." And I saw him start actioning that like the other night. So I'm stoked if that's gonna
I
be
think it's
fixed soon.
updated. I saw Fen when I played a game earlier today.
Ooh, let's go.
Now, we're in a situation where in the past, a small step giant leap is probably the deadliest thing that this Lindaway could have had in hand for the
Mhm.
next turn. But we're not at that stage of the game anymore. This Lindaway's got to win by actual statistics.
Yeah, this this rat though, putting those recruits out and each of them getting a boost from this monolith for only 4 mana in an Ornis deck. Yeah, it's gonna be really hard for Lindway to contend here.
It is one of those uniques that requires you to have the setup by having the landmark already. But I don't think they're going to be too worried about that. They still have 4 mana to work with. So this Ortis Cadets could come down, and something like even a tiny jail as a removal spell option is on the table here. Now the Lindaway could have something like a Moth Lantern. Oh, but the Jack Frost coming down and exhausting that Katagiran Alchemist in the reserve, forcing Lindaway to either commit to their Baba's Izba already, which it looks like I expect them to do here by sacrificing this Chrysalis. Or
Ooh.
instead, they have the Moth Lantern. Now,
Yeah,
I'm
this
curious
so
about that play, Cole. Specifically because the Moth Lantern only works when you sacrifice a non-illusion character. Now, if we look at the mana moths that are currently in play, they are all illusions. So this Baba's Ispa has to have something else to even create more tokens. And with those Ortis cadets coming out, they have 13 compared to 6 in stats on that side. I am struggling to see a world in which this Lindaway character can even tie an expedition this round, let alone win one.
yeah, this is I would have wanted to see like a jellyfish or something like that to make use and maybe bump up Ma a little bit. Another field reinforcements would have been okay, but it does interesting. Yeah, I guess maybe they just had nothing and just played it out.
Sometimes that happens with this
Yeah.
deck. You draw the wrong half on a crucial turn. You don't have the sacrifice cards you need, or you don't have the characters you need to sacrifice. That's one of the downfalls of Lindaway as a highly synergistic deck.
Yep. Um, bug talk in bug talk in the chat. I am not aware of the Copelia bug, so you'll have to explain what happens there. And yeah, submit a report. If it's a unique bugs are the ones that are going to be the hardest to fix. Whenever I talk about how there's like basically no bugs in the game besides Floral Tent, that does not count uniques because uniques are definitely edge cases.
You got to
Um,
report the unique bugs to get them fixed.
yeah, let's see here. There is
Yep.
one last game I see. Oh, Reno's playing Arok. All right, my dog is upset, so I'm letting her out to go lay
All
in
right,
bed.
I think I can handle this high quality ROC gameplay commentary. So, currently have a Garrick unique in the reserve. Doesn't have an arrow effect, so we only have to worry about it being able to be replayed. There is the cloth cocoon, and it looks like our Aphanis player chooses not to place a mana this turn. Auroch reveals, and they hit a Martingale. This is peak Auroch gameplay. You love to see it. Reveal the top card of our deck, hits our one cost card, such is the randomness of Lyra, and why I don't think I would ever enjoy playing any Lyra hero other than Fen. But they do get to play the Martingale, so that's good. And they are going to play out the Garrick unique as well, starting to put the stats to contest on both sides, but they don't have a lot of mana to work with and cards left in hand. So there is a chance that the Aphanis player could actually stall or win both expeditions this turn, causing to a complete role reversal in this stage of the game.
Yeah, that I heard you mention Arok pulled a martingale off of the
Absolutely.
performance. That is devastating, but that is what happens with Arok. I am very glad to see that they are currently winning on progressions, even if it doesn't actually equate to an overall win at the end here. I will forever champion Arok being the most fun hero in the game. Also, just a side note, I don't know why Runefolk hates Muna so much now, but it's definitely misplaced.
This winter outfits was actually one of the best plays that I think Auroch could have had here. Being able to make their board almost beauty sleep proof, because of this Haven Sirengar's lopsided stats, is actually going to matter quite a lot. But there is an Ortis Cadet unique coming out. Um, doesn't have any stats by itself, but when it plays a spell, if it has a boost, it can gain 2 boosts. So
It's not
if
going to be enough, though.
no, it doesn't look like it. Now, if there was a beauty sleep, that is a different story. But unfortunately, the story here for Aphanis is the end of the game.
That is awesome. We love to see Arok winning. I'm super stoked to continue to build her in the next set. I don't know if Freeloader is around, probably resting after the no unique championship earlier today. But my God, did that boy absolutely gaslight me for like 40 minutes yesterday about how his Arok deck was better than mine, but he kept sending me the link to my deck, and I was like, "This is my deck. This isn't different. We play like almost the exact same deck." And then I was like, "Wait, you stole the deck name too?" And then he posted it again, and it was still my deck, and I was like, "No, wait, what's going on here?"
We
And
love
then
Freeloader.
finally he posted his deck, but I don't know what he was thinking there.
Always a
Um,
character, that Freeloader fellow.
We are in round 2 of the Wednesday AWOL Weekly, the final chance for players to qualify for the season invitational on Saturday. Where do you want to go, Sir Simon?
Um, let's check out table number 10. We have
Ooh,
Kare Kaifu and Resident 2000. Curious to see what Kaifu has been cooking up as a player that's been known to break the mold of the meta this past season, not always playing what traditionally gets played.
Yeah, I am very excited to see the Sierra. So we might see something we've seen a little bit of, but I would be very surprised if there were no new additions or changes from Kaifu since we last saw this deck. So if Freeloader is playing today, which I've been told he is, I hope he's playing his Arok. That is way better than mine, and we'll see how it goes.
Is Arok still a character that they need for the AQZ challenge?
They might actually. What's the update on the AQZ challenge? Every time I think someone's getting close, they still have 4 or 5. So I'm not sure. They've been using Ace and the low amount of players in Ace to get freebies, but I think Keelan guy was the only one that placed top 8 last time. So this is the Repotter Otter, which
Oh man, this
yeah.
is deadly. That Repotter Otter unique is one of the coolest build around uniques I think I've ever seen.
Yep. So when a card goes from your hand or deck to reserve, create a brass bug in the other expedition. And you're going to see at some point just, oh man, are we going to get this other Ouroboros out, or is it a little too early to have two? Okay. Yeah.
I think
Little
that's the
little too
right
early.
call.
Yeah, this is gonna start going wild, and I'm pretty sure Kaifu has 3 of these otters that are almost the same with slight variations. Of course, that's how a unique works. But um, yeah, we're gonna see a turn here where it's just cycle, cycle, cycle until they get what they want. And we're in day 2, and you already see 23 cards in Kaifu's deck versus 29 in Resident 2000s.
Now the Repotter Otter also has an effect when played from the reserve, which is very strong, surprisingly, in this deck. Being able to put a card from your hand into your reserve means you can filter out cards with support abilities you don't want in your hand that positively impact the Ouroboros Bastion.
All right, checking in on the people. Looks like all is quiet on the AWOL front, and we're seeing the classic Basira Aklut. Um, I'm wondering if this is gonna end up being about the same situation as we saw on Aklut versus Fen.
Yeah, this is so a clue has potential, but playing it down that early means that with the current board state, both of you are sacrificing the same amount of cards. So you both have overfilled your reserve and have to discard one. So all it did was basically trade expeditions at a slightly higher mana cost. A clue definitely gets better the later the game goes on. And if you don't have a filled reserve and you can make your opponent discard one from their reserve and you don't, it's very strong. But when you're trading those 1-for-1 plays, I think that there are better 4 mana options you can take.
Yeah, I think the other thing about the Clue and locking down a reserve is it's really good against decks that don't manipulate the reserve a ton. If I get hit with it in Muna, it's like devastating. But this Fen and this Sierra that we've seen tonight, not too big of a deal.
And here is one of those positive upside plays I was talking about coming out from Kaifu, having a card that they want in their reserve to avoid the downside of the hand effect, being able to put it in with that Repotter Otters when played from reserve effect was going to end up being very powerful.
Yeah, so I think this one is a newer addition to the deck from when I last remember it. Uh, while things are moving on BGA, it does not allow me to hover it consistently, but basically from hand, sacrifice another robot or permanent. If you can't, send me to reserve. When a card goes from your hand or deck to reserve, create a brass bug in target expedition. And then from reserve, if you control two or more landmarks, create a brass bug in each of your expeditions. So I see why that's a new addition to this deck.
Yeah, it has very powerful effect. Obviously, being able to pick the expedition you want to make the brass bugs in is very strong. But also having a potential upside if you have two or more landmarks to make additional brass bugs seems like a really cool play to have access. Now, I am curious. They are going to use the Inari effect. They will hit another character that has a support ability for this Ouroboros, which means they will go up to 8 in stats. Now, if they hit another support ability, they can advance over it, but it looks like they're going to. Ooh, with that Axiom Salvager now, they will have enough stats to go over the top and claim a double advancement.
Yep. A clue is going to discard. Basira only has one card in hand.
Now,
Hidden Warrior is
if you're Kaifu here, are you continuing to cycle through your Ouroboros, or are you keeping. It looks like they're keeping this John more than likely to have access to the Ouroboros plays next turn. Or they
yeah.
could just get rid of it.
I'm wondering if the Moona Druid stays around because
The
it
Muna
can
Druid can
anchor.
anchor the machine in the ice, but you are relying very heavily on your top decks at that point. Um, so I think that this play that they've made now is probably the safest play. They have access to play the machine in the ice and use John's support ability. Now, imagine if Basira had the Occlute here. Can you imagine how backbreaking of a play that would be? Being able to, I mean, they still could, honestly. It looks like the Sierra is
Mm.
respecting it. But a mana eruption coming out, hitting that Ouroboros Lyra Bastion, being able to remove the utility from some of these cards. We'll see. We have one Ouroboros. Two of them have made it to the reserve already, um, and two Axiom reprocessors have as well. So they might have access to one or two more copies in their deck, but as of right now, they're looking at not a great situation for board setup.
Yeah, I will not even pretend to understand this cycle deck very well. It's one of the more uh mechanical and just weird decks that we've seen. Interesting to see the hooked come out and not even the rare to give the card drop, but could work out decently well here for Kaifu. Um, what if you have one mana in this deck? What is the one thing you want in hand right now?
Um,
Frozen Delivery, maybe.
Frozen Delivery is not that great here.
Yeah,
Honestly, like there's no good options,
that's what I'm
which
leaning towards.
yeah. So now we're at a point where they had to respect the Occlute play from the Basira, so they did not place a mana. So even though the Basira used the mana eruption, they're still even, and they were able to close the gap a little bit. Now, make no mistake, I still think the Sierra player is massively favored here. The odds that Basira has another removal spell for a landmark is very low. And this Bravos Blade Dancer from the reserve is effectively just a ball of stats, which may or may not be a good play here. And they will only have access to two cards. Um,
We're about to see the the discard get reshuffled for Sierra here, if
Absolutely.
nothing else. So common Blade Dancer or rare Blade Dancer? What are your thoughts and everyone in chat's thought about common versus rare Blade Dancer?
Um, I think to even consider either of them, you need to be playing Basira.
Mhm.
And I specifically am not a fan of either. I think there's better one drops you can play in the deck, and I think that the reserve cost ends up being a major hindrance. Having cards that cost the same from the hand as from the reserve, or even cheaper from the reserve, usually is how I like to play my more aggressive Bravos decks. So I've actually not been playing any Blade Dancers in my Basira lists.
Yep. Blade Dancer is probably one of my favorite cards art wise from the first set, especially as it progresses from common to rare to unique. I prefer the rare coming from mainly playing Basira if I'm playing Bravos. Uh, if not anything, it's really cool to just play around removing that fleeting and then boosting it up above removing the fleeting with 4 boosts. So it's really interesting sequencing.
And we have the potential here for a win, depending on what this hits. Oh, and it's going to hit
Ooh.
an Inari, which means we're going to make another Brass Bug off this Ouroboros. If they can hit another card with a support ability, they're going to win this game. And they hit the Frozen Delivery or Gibble. Both plays are very strong here. It's going to make another Brass Bug, and the final Brass Bug is going to be able to go over the top. These Repotter Otter and Machine in the Ice uniques putting in work, showing how Sierra decks can still compete in this metagame. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Sierra deck like this perform pretty well without the aggression from Sigismar happening throughout the seasonal invitational.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen Kaifu have a 6-0 on this deck, and I have not looked at the. Well, I guess based on the table placement, then she would have had to have won the first game as well.
Correct.
So currently 2-0, maybe another dark horse finish for Sierra this week. Question for Batusai. Have you played the Atsadi demo deck? Because I'm thinking it's looking pretty good. Where let's see, what do we got here? Geraldo, table 7.
Works for me.
I'm not sure if they've reached out to Keelan Guy yet, but this is team Heraldos del Chaos. I think it's the Heralds of Chaos. And you'll see that this is Fran Parvi. They are a team out of Chile, and I was talking with them on Twitch, I think last week, and they have a lot of passionate players. And look at that, Amuna player going head to head against Siggy. What happens to a Siggy here without looking at the discard to only have a recruit and have 1 mana left?
They spent mana on, I believe, a rallying call and a grand endeavor that they hoped to stick around.
Mhm.
But there was a mana reaping that was able to pay for that rare cost for the tough on the grand endeavor. This is one of Tasia's good matchups, though, so I'm not surprised to see them winning. They have very powerful plays currently with what is on the board. They have high stats that have stuck around. They're anchored. They have tough because of the spindle. They only need to win one side. Um, and it looks like they have a unique that can give multiple anchors when it gains boosts. So there's a chance that there are even more characters that are going to stick around with anchored next turn, even if they don't win.
Yeah, that was a very good assessment, seeing the difference in mana. Mana Reaping puts it into mana. Yes. Mana Reaping, and what's the like opposite the mana
Eruption. So it looks like they
eruption.
actually just played the Mana Reaping when they were at 7 on the first. Yeah, they paid for it immediately for the Grand Endeavor.
Yeah, unfortunately we cannot see what's in the other player's mana. But yeah, this is
I know
looking.
for sure. I know for sure it was.
What was that? Ugh. If you didn't know, someone has broadcasting control, and was that an alert he put, or was that blue
No, he
live
popped
looking
in.
in?
I checked and we had blue pop in. I can't recall what he said sucks though, so if he wants to pop back in and say it,
I
more than
think
welcome to.
I think he says Sigismar sucks.
I think he said Buddha sucks, which is just factually untrue. Now, back to the game at hand. We have high amount of stats in play. We have a spindle giving our characters tough, and we only need to win one expedition. As a Tasia player, what are you going to do here to secure this victory?
Uh, lose somehow, because that's typically what I do.
Cole would lose.
The best answer would be a floral tent before you have that sneezer, but I'm honestly not sure how Sigismar can come out of this. Ooh, a so and a rare so is not one that we see very often.
Not quite. It does have the different support ability to anchor a character, but you are right that most of the time people will play the common if they opt to play this card.
I'm guessing that there was not a floral tent in hand, or else that would have been the perfect play. Basically, on either side, you have the protection from the Spindle Muna Bastion, but with all of the removal options Ortis has, it's still a possibility, and it's also a one drop, which in Altered we like to refer to as an after you. Um, this still won't do it, but Sandman is a good play.
Yeah, Sandman coming in not too clutch here, being able to tie the expedition, um, but not going to be enough to stop that hero side where we currently have 11, 11, 13 in stats compared to 3, 2, 3. Right now, they can't even pay the tough cost for the Sandman. They are 1 mana short.
It hurts. It hurts to see such an oppressive regime down on their luck, but nature always finds a way.
Now, the smart play here would have been to sleep your own character and then rally and call it to wake it up for an extra 2 boosts. But it
Mm,
does not look like that happened.
yep. That would have been a very good play. I don't think it would have won on. Well, it could have won the
It would
companion
have won the
side, but
companion side, but
still
still
would
would
have
not have
lost
been
the
able to
game.
contest.
Yeah. All right. What do we got here going on? Ooh, we don't hold up the game by not discarding down. We know the results of this. Fran Parvy takes it. I'm heading over to
Let's look at
table
table 11.
11. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I was gonna say.
got some
Uh,
longtime players. Rune Cheese versus the Keylong guy in a Lyra Fen versus Lyra Fen mirror match. And it's coming down to the wire with Keylon guy being an expedition behind, but playing out a very powerful Alice. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this Alice was recently purchased on the marketplace, no?
I don't know what the hell these boys do. They're always buying up uniques and switching around uniques. My question is more of whose unique is Keelan guy using, and whose uniques are is Rune using. And did they have to coordinate this, or did they both?
These are indeed Keelan's uniques. He and I had a discussion yesterday about the marketplace and things that we could find for Fen that would fit their
Hmm.
deck.
I do.
And
I do remember this specific 2 mana,
we're
and
looking at
returning
cards
cards.
with arrows to return cards from our reserve to hand. Because being able to pick up cards like the magical training just end up being very, very, very powerful plays in a game of Altered.
But if Keelan guy has the good Fen uniques, then what does Rune have?
A good attitude and gumption.
uh,
And a
uh,
reserve full of commons and rares without any uniques that we've seen so far.
yep. The other day, I think I jumped into. Man, there's so many tournaments now that I can't remember if I'm getting things mixed up. But I think it was the Monday one just to play around for 2 rounds. I was playing Arok, and Pandy and them saw a new cloth dancer unique that I got, and they were all freaking out that I had not shown them yet. And I was just like, you guys never asked me about my uniques.
Because Cole would play it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Now, it looks like we do have our first unique for Rune Cheese coming out, a Studious Disciple unique that allows you to pick up spells from an arrow and give fleeting if you roll a 4 or higher on a dice. It's a very powerful card, being able to have some sort of disruption alongside good stats.
Yep, the rune rolled a 5 to quickly take out that Alice. And there's nothing to remove fleeting in Lyra, right? You could try to anchor it or sleep it to keep it around, which no benefit on this Alice. So yeah, that was a pretty hard hit there. They're speaking German in the
They're
chat
speaking a
too.
language that I can understand entirely. These words, mine
Oh,
opener were crazy. Rune Cheese's opener was crazy. Something double ink caster sleight of hand, double ink caster sleight of hand. Look, all I'm saying is I can read German. It's not that hard. Um, our
they
French
trying to
community
get
should learn
around.
too.
They're trying to get around
Yes,
the
and
task.
my something reducers. See, look, German is basically English. I promise you.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Is Rune Cheese actually Rune Folk?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
um. Yeah. Keelan guy knows like 4.5 languages, so it's not fair.
Rune Cheese able to take that cheese win, get the sleep coming out, give fleeting. Everything's over. We're moving. You're not. Tons of cards in hand, tons of cards in reserve, and a victory for Rune Cheese.
Yep. That this cloth dancer that we saw here at the end is not as good as the one that I have. So I guess once again they could have asked me to borrow it for tonight, but nobody knows that I just have sleeper hits.
Now, Keelan Guy taking a hit to that elo, slowly but surely causing him to be lower than me. Um, Now, all of the AQZ folks in that chat are speaking in German. And at this point, I think it's clear we need to go to another table.
Table 2 says that it's only 71%. We can see what that relates to. Oh yeah, we still got some game here.
Alrighty. We have Helix 90 versus Uncle Poe. You like Kung Fu Panda, Cole?
I don't know. Not as much as you, I'm assuming.
Kung Fu Panda's my goat.
I am not a um Western animation guy.
Kung Fu Panda is pretty cool. And this Navenka is pretty cool if they have a character that can advance. Because, oh, out comes the Sandman. and it looks like they will have enough mana to lock up this game.
Dang, no characters in the expedition for a Faunus.
Uncle Po taking the L, not my Kung Fu Panda.
That should be basically the end of round 2. Let's hop over to the interview screen for a moment. It's been a while since you've been on the cast. Usually you're the shadow figurehead behind the scenes.
I control the puppets.
What do you want to tell the people of the AWOL nation?
AWOL Nation's a band, first of all. I don't think we can say that.
Oh,
Um, Second of all, thank you everybody for all the support you've given us this season. Somehow we've grown even further than what season 1 looked like. And we have had an insane amount of turnout, hitting record-breaking numbers throughout the season, alongside very cool events that we've had planned that are happening and have yet to be announced. So stay tuned for those. The support has just been immense. So I like coming on at the end of the season, being able to give my thanks to you all for supporting us throughout the year, because it means a lot. Um, I would not care as much about Altered if I didn't have this group of people to spend it with, whether it be the players, the rest of the staff, the casters. Altered means a lot to me, and a lot of that is because of you all. So thank you for playing with us. Hopefully, you'll participate or spectate in the weekend's festivities. It's going to be a big one between the Invitational and the Demo Deck tournament. So if you can carve out some time, even if it's just for a little bit, we would really appreciate it if you stopped by.
amen to that. And, I really thought we were about to move on to the next round, but if you go to table 15, there's actually a reason why this game is still going.
Is it?
Uh,
Does it start with an A and end with Kesha?
it starts with an A but ends with Faunus and playing like a Kesha. That we see an Afanis versus an Afanis. Looks like Doppelrogue is playing Exhaust Faunus, and John Cast is playing a Catagear Afanis. Also with a Withered Tree in the discard. So
Now, with
Celebration Day.
Catagear Bastions, I actually think that that is a deck that could be a sleeper pick for the Invitational.
I think it should be banned. Don't bring that to a tournament, or I will personally scorn you and cast a spell on you.
Where the hex, girl? We're gonna put a spell on you.
My Discord is like loading so slow for a while now. Um, and people are adding me, and I can see the and then I pull it up, and it takes like 30 seconds for wherever it happened to pop up. But anyways, it was nothing
Oh
important.
man, Celebration Day is just like so neutered now, huh? Or not Celebration Day, but like this deck in general.
Mm,
Because you can't advance and then Celebration Day.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you are wanting. To me, anyone that plays this deck just wants to drag it out as long as possible and nobody have any fun. But maybe there's was a strategy before that involved small step. Um, I have seen this deck more often without small step than with in my travels.
Really?
Yep.
I do not think that that deck is common.
I was cursed for a time. People didn't believe me, but I tracked every time I went up against a Nakesha that did this deck. Killed me, killing me, killing me. But we don't we yeah, I guess they maybe would have removed it. And there's the end of time because this is the third time interaction I want to say exists that is less common. You'll see that both players had time on their clocks,
I'm actually taking a screenshot to show this. But please
but
continue.
yeah, they ran out of time in the round because they were going on longer than anyone else. Looking at the time the game started, is it was a 30-minute game. It was created 32 minutes ago. So it maybe started a little late and then all of the other games were finished. So the time in the round ended. Boom. It's done. And the player with the most time left wins. So
All right. But that does end round two. We are officially 1/3 of the way through. We have 14 players left undefeated, so any table 1 through 7 can be picked. Which one would you like to see?
we have not seen Buchocks, and I don't know if
Oh,
I have watched a Buchocks game in a little bit. So
let's
uh,
hop on over then to table number 6.
we'll get to see a start of a Fran Parvy game. We saw the end earlier, but then we'll also get to see what Buchocks is doing. Just waiting on the loading art since we didn't jump in before. All right, looks like a Faunus. Let's see here. So, use a secret caster spell here. Looks like Bujox has been on a Faunus since about the end of February, early March. Before that, they were playing Tasia. Uh, Interesting in history, they only play in AWOL Wednesday, but also got top 8 uh, at a tumult in Ludifest Santiago, which I have no idea specifically where that was, but congrats to
Sounds like it's in
Buchos.
Santiago.
Yeah, but where? Santiago, Texas? Santiago? Yeah, I don't know.
You would have not known about a tumult happening in Texas, Cole.
If it was in Santiago, Texas, and nobody told me, I wouldn't have known.
How do I pause my camera for a second?
You don't.
Do I
Just
not have the
just
means
put
to?
just put your hands on it.
Here, let me
No, you should just be able to shut off your video by clicking the camera. It says disable the camera.
camera.
There you go. Now you can pick your nose.
No, I actually just wanted to eat some food. I did not eat dinner tonight.
I started to make dinner a little too late, burnt it a little bit, ate the salvageable pieces, and jumped on. So I kind of ate dinner. All right.
Cole would
Look.
eat it.
Yep. Yep. Is that just gonna be everything now?
It's just too funny.
All right. Seeing a rare spindle harvester in a Faunus feels like a little bit of a throwback. I feel like I have not been tracking as much the changes to a Faunus, but also don't remember seeing it that often. Also, not going to do much here for the Faunus, but early on, starting to build some card advantage for the most part. Um, this spindle being down is going to be a little bit of a problem, though.
Spindle causes a lot of issues for some of the top decks right now. which is part of the reason why Tasia is one of my premier choices to do well at the seasonal invitational. Having access to tough on all of your characters plus the rare giving you that little boost, no pun intended, um, it causes a lot of game states that are very hard for some of the top tier decks right now to navigate. I've always thought that Tasia was historically underplayed, and I think that with the current metagame shifts, it could see even more play. Now, I should clarify, Tasia is not underplayed. Good Tasia lists are underplayed. Lists that are playing the characters that cost 3 and less, things like the Lyra Thespian for stats, the boosting spells, versus decks that are playing things like Hydrocana and Ramp. I think that the non-Hydrocana lists are the best options at the moment.
I think Tasia is overplayed. Okay, thanks for clarifying. The Shadow Simon. Yeah, I mean, I don't really like playing the super meta Tasia, and it drives everyone crazy. But I am working towards building a good, just straight good deck. But now we're almost at a new set. Really busy rest of the month, and so I'm gonna have to start all over again. A unique spindle harvester in the Tasia. When another character joins your expeditions, if I have 2 or more boosts, anchor 3 or less. Great. Oh, and this is another tree faunus here, which, as I mentioned with the Occlute, is pretty rough for Tasia for the most part. Having this Spindle Harvester out with a Spindle Muna Bastion, though, sets Tasia up pretty well to survive through it.
Yeah, I'm sure they wanted to be able to play this Ogun here and anchor the Dracana, but they'll take the consolation prize of having this aloe vera come down, being able to give you some stats, enough to double advance, and still stick around for the next day. It's a pretty good world right now for Tasia. They definitely are on the pedal to the metal right here.
I am now taking a closer look at the hand for Faunus, though. And as I was saying earlier, building up a ton of card advantage. I feel like it is maybe a little too late unless there's a banishing gate or something
That's the issue.
in
They can
there.
have all the cards in hand that they want, but if they do not have the mana to answer the characters in play, it will not go the way you want it to.
Now those spindles are online. So all they have to do is play another low cost character of any sort, which they'll do right now, and they'll get to re-anchor that aloe, which is going to help Tasia see more cards. This other spindle is going to come online once the Bastion gives it another boost, which is another source of seeing cards. All Tasia has to do now is find a way to re-anchor the unique spindles.
Even if they don't have a way to re-anchor it, the amount of card advantage you're going to get from the resupplies will be very strong.
Yeah, I'm interested to know what people think of spindle harvesters in a faunus nowadays. I think you could just say that a one cost character that gives itself anchored is just good value. Um, but to me, it just feels kind of weird. Maybe it's because I want my children back and want a faunus to stop abusing them. There's a floral tent though, like I was saying in the other game, to secure that aloe down further. Um, the things that I don't notice until I just see it and think through it. Spindle does not protect a floral tent though. Oh, the
The
blizzard.
blizzard coming out, but the floral tent is able to protect at least the aloe vera. I am curious. It has been a long time since we have seen a blizzard get played in a faunus, but that is a very powerful play on this turn. Being able to answer that spindle harvester unique and take the aloe veras anchored away means that they are left with not very great plays to play, but
But
they do still have the O-gun and they do still have the nurture to push them over the top on both expeditions. So the Afanas must have a rare helping hand, I believe, but I don't think that that is a legal play anymore.
yeah, so the moth still has to come down, but I think this is a very easy win for Tasia right here. The Ogon comes out, the Nurture can come out. Whatever's in hand is a bonus from that point. Um, I'm not sure there's anything this Aphanis can do to stop Tasia at this point. So this is a Dracana. Even if Tasia's not able to win outright here, will set up for future turns. But Buchok's on Aphanis does call GG. The Ogun will put it over the top to win if Buchok's does not have a one cost spell to stop one side.
Yeah, this has been a very, very clear display of what happens when Tasia opens Spindle versus a deck based around removal options. And the Aphanis had all the card advantage in the world, but it did not matter when these characters were able to be sticky, have anchored, and be there throughout the course of the game.
And there it goes. GG to Geraldo friend Parvi again.
Looks like we have some fans in chat who are very much so enjoying some of my munching noises. Tune into a late night ASMR stream after the event where I can munch and make even more food eating noises for your enjoyment.
I think I have to leave right after the stream for that.
It's
So
unfortunate. I'm even eating your favorite food, Cheez Its.
those are terrible. I won't even eat the dairy-free Cheez-Its.
Well, yeah, because they're dairy free.
Cheez-Its are just not the vibe. But we have not bugged Freeloader yet. Table 8. What
Absolutely.
what is Freeloader cooking?
What is an ASMR ear,
Yeah,
Dale?
it is Arok. It's Arok. Let's go. It's literally like an ear microphone that you can like lick and make noises into for ASMR.
Oh, I don't know about that. All I know is that I've had many people tell me that I should read audiobooks, that my voice has a nice cadence, and that I should be doing some sort of broadcasting in some way. So those are very high compliments, but they are not as high as Enger, whose Elo is about to go, as they beat Freeloader this round. Freeloader putting in a very comfortable 366 elo on this account. Looks like they know a little bit about competitive and can use a 39 cards deck, but they might not know a little bit more than that. So if they can grind a little bit more, I can see them becoming a competitive player.
I was not. Yeah, I guess Freeloader's just thrown in the towel. 3 mana left does not do anything with the Martingale. Unfortunate. I wanted to see some more Arok fun. The performances must have not gone very well. And Blue, of course, I know because I've been streaming for longer than some of these kids in chat have been graduated. So
Is that a call out to me?
I said kids in chat, but probably honestly you too. What year did you graduate?
High school or college?
High school.
Um, 2017.
Fuck yes, I've been streaming longer. I've been streaming longer than that. Oh God.
Oh,
Oh,
that was funny.
oh, it hurts. Oh, Martingale flip, man. That's the second Martingale flip we've seen this tournament. You hate to see it.
Martingale flips. I don't know what to say. They happen, and they make you never want to play Orok again.
I think it's still funny. I had probably the best possible outcomes from performances on the tournament the other day and still lost to a Sierra.
Was that when
Um,
you were against K by any name?
yeah. Just why are you putting me upside down? Uh don't tell K by any name though that I was absolutely barely paying attention and just having fun.
Speaking
uh
of Blue, there is still one question left for you to answer in that pre-invitational prediction panel, which is going to be some content coming at you this week. I know how much we love that word content. Um, where a panel of the admin team, as well as our favorite season one invitational winner, the Keelan guy, answer some burning questions about the upcoming seasonal invitational. So when that comes out, I'll be sure to link it in the AWOL Discord server. But we specifically need one last question answered from Blue. So
sheesh, holding up the whole production.
I know.
I went over to Kaifu against No Reno,
Hmm.
Sierra versus Arak, and we're about to see a performance right here. Let's hope we break the curse of Martingale. And what is it? What? Oh, Willow the Wisp. Not a bad one, honestly, especially with how the hero side is looking here. Um, I forgot anything else that I was gonna say with everyone messing around in chat. Yeah. Graduated in 2017. My God.
Yeah. What you gonna do about it?
Cry. Oh, I was gonna
Oh,
say
hold up. No, I actually graduated in 2016.
doesn't matter. Same answer. I've been streaming since like 2013.
Hmm. I can't tell you how old I was because that kind of docks me.
um I know you were when you were talking about content and everyone loving that word. I was gonna say, when are we gonna get some altered content? Um,
Whoa, 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 whoa! Cut that! Cut that! Cut that! Cut that!
it's okay. We're past like 2 minutes into the video, so we can swear and stuff.
Sure. I don't know about that one.
Listen, blue after dark. He's got to make his money. So
After got that blue chew. Uh,
uh,
all right. I can send this document over to good old friend K.
this game though is looking really interesting. I'm glad that I clicked on it. Neck and neck on the expedition here. This Will o' the Wisp is locking down a little bit, but brass bugs are equal across the board and are going to continue to be created there. The question is, does this one it's in the other expedition, so winning the companion side is going to be what's hard for Kaifu, and that croupier does have a cost reduction support ability. And Arok's gonna get another performance after this too. I just realized. Hopefully, a bigger win for the next one. Also, if you're done eating, you can turn your camera back on if you
Oh no,
want.
we're still starting the ASMR.
All right, just so you don't forget.
Oh, I haven't forgotten yet.
Let's see. I'm interested in what. I mean, the hero side is definitely going to Kaifu, I would assume. Um, I'm wondering, and I mean, you have to play something more right here with the 0 because just need one more performance counter. So Atsadi in the next set can benefit from removing counters, but cards specifically can't augment heroes. So that's a benefit for Atsadi, but kind of a downside for Arok, unless there is, I don't think there is a card from everything I've seen that will allow you to increase a hero counter.
Yeah, I don't know if we've gotten to see any of those yet.
Ooh, wow. That was just a great Esmeralda into a Martingale, and there will be another performance. Do we have a chance? There's technically still a chance of another Martingale if there are 3 in this deck from No Reno.
How badly do you want the eating camera, Kilongai? I can get a mukbang going for you.
Now you're the one making it weird.
I have to angle my camera down a little bit. One cheese it to rule them all.
Why are you just always eating Cheez-Its?
I like Cheez-Its, what can I say?
Do you have some water at least?
Always, I stay strapped. Is water a prerequisite for Cheez-Its?
Well, if you're not going to freaking dry and shrivel up and turn into SpongeBob.
I like Pop Tarts too, Blue. I like a lot of food. Have you seen me?
I think we need a review of those new Girl Scout Pop Tarts though. From you.
Girl Scouts are fascist. Clip that, clip that. We have so many brass bugs coming out. I don't even know what to say. There is a world in which
What the fuck is a Girl Scout Pop Tart? When you say it like that, uh, Girl Scouts. Do you? I guess they might be an American establishment.
Girl
I
Scouts encourage young women in the United States to promote capitalism through unethical means, specifically through bullying in the workplace, and other guilt tripping measures. It teaches them no lessons, and it is not a beneficial experience. The cookies, however, are delicious, and they get people every year with them.
yeah.
So it is a vicious cycle. So
Yep.
yeah, yeah, Girl
They,
Scout cookies, man.
they are a type of cookie, Thin Mint, Samoas, whatever it may be. And now they have a partnership with Pop Tart to have like Thin Mint Pop Tarts and things like that. But yeah, it's a very sad excuse for the answer to Boy Scouts, which I don't know which one is worse. The fact that girls never got a true Girl Scouts, or the fact that Boy Scouts was a
I
very,
thought you
very
were gonna.
unfortunate thing.
I thought you were gonna say that Boy Scouts had to sell popcorn instead of cookies.
That was not the worst thing that happened to the Boy Scouts, unfortunately.
It was the worst thing that happened to me.
I think you should call your therapist, and we should not discuss that on
Don't have one of
cast.
those. Don't need one. All right, we got a Sandman coming out. Gonna sleep something on this board. There are no good targets for the Sandman to sleep, unfortunately.
The
If you sleep,
Sandman cannot sleep because it pulled from Arok.
ah, I thought that was from hand, but
Nope.
no, it tricked me. It was one of those wonderful hits off of Arok and Kibble's ability.
I was a Boy Scout. I did not sell anything. Um,
Oh my gosh.
I did have to put a bunch of flags in old people's yards for holidays, though.
This machine in the ice is going to trigger its ability to make 2 brass bugs, except it came from the hand, and I'm silly, so no, it will not. Now, the Repotter Otter unique that has the ability to activate
All three of these at
arrow
once.
abilities.
Yee!
Oh, this is just dirty.
Uh, I've the amount of mana though is kind of concerning with no cards in
It
hand.
doesn't matter. They just put 6 mana, 666 worth of stats into play because a card went from their hand to the reserve.
Yeah. Uh, Yeah, there's probably not much that Arok can do. I was more just thinking Axiom Salvager is the only thing that can re-trigger this Bastion, and if it's not a good hit, that's gonna be the end of it. Um, but we'll see here.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to matter for our Auroch hero. That's a cool Hathor. Arrow or on play from hand, give a sleep. When played from reserve, can return a card from reserve to hand. So it gives you some stats for effectively keeping the support ability when you play it. I actually think that's a very cool unique. It does have the downside of taking up one of your very good common slots already, which is something I try to avoid with my uniques and altered. Is when I have a good common, because those are like tend to be the worst cards in your deck. I don't like when rares eat into those spaces.
Yes, we know that it's a Tanuki, which is actually a very good hit now that we see this GN Assembly Overseer, but stats wise, I think you're right. I think the writing's on the wall for Arak here.
Now, Freeloader does bring up a good point that they could have used the support ability and picked up the Tanuki and immediately gotten rid
Mm.
of the what's it
Uh,
called?
the
The Axiom Salvager.
Salvager, yeah.
Ooh, that is a spicy meatball coming out.
Oh yeah, we are gonna go to arena.
We will go to an arena day, but Orok is looking pretty starved for cards.
Yep, only one of these
Wow,
otters is gonna go away.
they didn't have to put the sleep. They didn't have to sleep the brass bug. They were already winning because of those winter outfits. So they just gave their opponent a free 2/2/2 in stats for next turn. That ends up being the difference. And you are absolutely right, Mr. Keelong guy. The Hathor could have also been slept, and they could have had their own 2/2/2 in stats. So they are now trading off effectively 4 mana worth or 4/4/4 in stats that would have stuck around.
Can't believe I'm doing Simon's work in the main Discord.
In the main Discord, you were offered a moderator position too.
I feel like it would be unethical for someone like me to be a mod. But I will say I am far too active in that Discord. So on one hand, I'd be great. On the other hand, I did take part in making someone leave the server entirely the other day. Sorry.
Sorry for party rocking.
Although I did not provide the absolute soul crushing final blow. So
So thankfully, it would not have mattered if they had slept the Hathor. But you can only wonder. You can only wonder.
yeah, I mean, using the support ability could have been interesting. Um, the boss is here, and we've made more jokes than normal, so you guys can see where it comes from. And I've been laughing far too much.
What can I say? I'm a funny guy.
Uh,
I
would
bring
you
the joke.
say that you're a fun guy?
No, just funny.
All right, Mr. Boss. We are into round 4
Let's
out
hop to
of
table 4.
6, and we will jump to table 4. I don't think I recognize either of these players, which is always great to see at the top tables. You play in enough, you cast enough, you start to recognize all the names. So it's always great to see a lesser known name performing well in a tournament.
Bum 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 ba-dum, ba-dum. Board game arena. Bug report for somebody.
You think that time one is a bug?
No, 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 no. Somebody had one with a demo deck.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was trying to see, and if anyone is out there, if it's not already reported, there were reports of Wayfarer not working correctly. I don't think I got a confirmation though if they meant the rare. So if you use the rare Wayfarer on the demo decks and it doesn't work, please submit a bug report and let me know. Shout out to Dave. All right, so we got a Tasia versus a Fen. Fen is looking very popular going into the weekend.
I think that it's going to be a lot of players' top choices. I don't think that it's the best deck in the room right now, but I think it has potential to give you a lot of skill expression, which a lot of players look for when they want to pick a deck for a serious tournament like that seasonal invitational.
What is the best deck in the room right now?
I think that it's Tasia. I think that Tasia is going to win the seasonal invitational. I think that it is the best deck that people can play. Um, I think that there are plenty of strong options, and I think that both Tasia and Fen are good options. I think Tasia is slightly better because you don't even need very strong uniques with Tasia. You just need like average ones. We've seen players like Hyper K have success without these great, powerful uniques, and I think that that speaks a lot to the strength of the deck.
Yeah, the small kid in the room, the ignored stepchild Ace, had Tasia win the championship on Sunday. So, I mean, good. It's possible. Skill expression. So Cole would definitely not play it. I do not want to express skill. Um, if I'm playing a game of Altered, I'm probably doing 3 other things at the same time and not paying enough attention, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to stop that.
How familiar are you with the Smash community?
Uh, Depends how deep cut, familiar enough?
You know what the phrase "Johning" means?
Sounds too deep cut.
When someone johns in the Smash community, it means they're coming up with excuses as to why they lost. Sounds a
Oh.
lot like you're Johning right now.
Mm. Less of an excuse, more of a personal issue that I should stop.
Now, we have a very interesting card coming out from the Tasia that we do not see that often. A rare version of the Daughter of Yggdrasil. Now, choosing to play that instead of the Sneaser Shroom from the reserve means that there is a chance that this Hathor picks up the Tanuki and sabotages the Shroom, or
Well,
they just have a Tanuki from their hand, didn't even need it. Better luck next time. No Shroom for you.
yeah, I no joke think Daughter of Yggdrasil stock goes up next set, and maybe even the rare. Looking at the rare and thinking, is it each player? Man, I should know this off the top of my head, shouldn't I?
It's each player
Um,
for the rare, yeah.
well, so Daughter of Yggdrasil, yeah, each player draws a card, but the best new card of Whispers from the Maze, it is just an opponent. Darn. Okay. I still think Daughter of Yggdrasil stock rises next set, but maybe more the common this time. Grand Bois rare has when an opponent draws one or more cards or resupplies, he gains one boost. And there are some really good interactions coming out in Muna that is paying off for the group hug mentality, as people have been calling it.
You wanna no Shroom for you AWOL shirt? I'll see if I can whip something up. I think some
Cool.
AWOL merch would be cool. I want to specifically get a logo before that happens. I have enjoyed the banishing gate with the text over it that we've been using, but one of my goals for next season is to actually get a nice official logo. I know some people that know some people, so allegedly I have contacts that could get me something. But some merch would be very funny to get on the table before the official altered group gets.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make a hat for Gen Con. We'll see. A lot of us like wearing hats, but
Absolutely.
you kind of
Blue's
have
a
to.
bandana kind of guy though. I respect it. I'm a bandana guy in the summer, when I don't want to get super sweaty. But I like both.
I actually do have a merchandise shop of cursed merch and have designed T-shirts and stuff. So I
How
can
cursed.
I uh I mean not super cursed. I can show you one if you want. Do a little self promo. Inherit some blue energy right here. Let's see. What's my favorite one? They're really not that bad. Um,
The Tasia just played a massive card advantage swinging card with this Yongsu coming out, forcing the Fen to drop this Magpeng Hoarder and just absolutely commit so much to the board just to stop a double advance from happening. I'm sure they wanted to save that for a later play. Now, I will say that Tasia is not going to go into the next day with any characters in play. So one of the upsides of the deck is already removed. So if this Fen has some strong options to mess around with, say they have a off you go in the hand to answer whatever character the Tasia plays, there is a very real world in which the Tasia is put too far on the back foot this turn.
there you go. I posted them in Stream Team for you. So if you wanna hire me for some work, just let me know. Yeah, this Tasia is looking really good. Also, good point. There is no Spindle Muna Bastion here in this deck. Very, very interested to see if there's any other surprises. We haven't seen a unique. Daughter of Yggdrasil is really the only off meta card we've seen so far. I would say Yongsu is here and there, not entirely off meta. Ooh, there we go. I called it into existence.
A tiny djinn that will self ramp. If you control 3 or more characters at dusk, draw a card. So, because it is going to go into the mana, if this Fen wanted to play something like an Off You Go, they would still gain value out of it. But it does take up 3 of their available 7 mana, while the Fen potentially has 9 to work with. We will see the Tanuki come out, sabotaging that aloe vera, cutting off some more resupply options for the Tasia. So I'm curious to see what the Tasia is going to opt to play here.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this tiny djinn is something you would sleep or not. Benefit is Tasia does not get another mana. Downside is if Tasia plays 2 more characters, then you're giving some card draw. I think this is where the rare daughter starts to hurt Tasia more than it helps, though. Fen is going to have some scary card advantage coming up here.
They still have 6 mana to work with, too. They could have an Off You Go and be able to single advance, stop an advancement, is a pretty solid play. It all really depends on what they would like to do. Players still have plenty of time, so thinking on the plays is not outside the realm.
This is the Philippines versus Chile, which have similar flags color wise, also the same colors as the Texas flag. The more you know.
Now, the acapella training will come out, just scouting to see if there's any plays. I would be interested to see what they're going to get rid of in the evening.
This will get really interesting with what Fen does here.
I think if I was the Fen player, I would have slept that Daughter of Yggdrasil and gone for the advancement. Now, technically, it could still happen. They wanted to get the Mighty Djinn out. That's not a card we've seen too much recently in Fen. I think it's gone to the wayside a little bit for some other rare options, but always love me a good Mighty Djinn. The rare in Lyra is a little bit worse than the rare in Bravos because it does not draw you a card. It's still a pretty solid option overall.
Yeah. I think the hard spot for Fen here is you don't usually see Fen with high stat characters, and in this kind of position, that's what you need to win the game here. But we do have the Twinkle Twinkle and no protection on Tasia's side. You should always remember to leave home with protection, and this Tasia did not.
Now, the Fen player has to commit something first, and because the Tasia player can choose to win just one expedition to win, it puts them in a very interesting position for Fen on what they want to play. Will they just play an acapella training to eat an action, or are they going to commit a character? Now, it looks like they are going to commit with a aloe vera. We'll see if they end up paying the 1 mana to give Anchored, but I don't believe they have that luxury right now. If the Tasia player has any amount of meaningful stats across their cards, there is a good chance that the Fen player runs out of mana and cannot stop their plays. So Asia put in an interesting situation here. If they have something that's cheap, like a sneezer shroom or a spindle or a Muna caregiver, I think that would have been my preferred option, but they're opting to play out the Yongsu first, which by itself is enough to contest this aloe vera. If the Lyra player chooses to use Twinkle Twinkle, they only have 3 mana left to work with, as opposed to the 6 from the Tasia player. So as long as the Tasia player has at least 2 more characters in hand, there's a good chance that they'll lock this one up. Uncle Poe joining us to watch. Thank you, Uncle Poe. We always love some good Kung Fu Panda representation. I do. I don't know about Cole.
I'm indifferent. I think there was a question earlier that you might have missed.
Oh,
Now you
sure.
remind me. What do you consider Avatar to be anime?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if that was like a bait question from Blue or what, but I
I don't
remember
know.
seeing
It's a
it now.
common question, but the people that say that it has to come from a specific area to be considered anime, it's just silly to me because the animation style is the same. They're very much so anime. See, now, I'm not sure if I would have played. I don't know.
Yeah, it just still buying time from the looks of it. I feel like there's going to be too many options for Tasia here.
I
2
feel like
mana.
that Muna caregiver should have gone on the hero expedition. Having that mountain just as one in this game is infinitely better than 0. It is insurmountable how much better 1 is compared to 0. So if they had that Muna caregiver on the hero expedition, this Fen likely could not have even contested it. Now they are bringing out the Twinkle Twinkle. I assume it'll go on the Yongsu. And right now we're all tied up on that companion expedition. Where if that caregiver was just like I say on that hero side, we would still be there, and they won't have a character with the
Oh,
stats to stick around. So
unfortunate.
missing out on a very strong play here. There was the Martingale, so they are going to advance, and we are going to move into another day. Wow. Talk about a sequence of events. The Lyra player played that situation very well, played all the cards to their advantage the best that they could have. Um, very, very well played from them. And now we are in a situation where we're going into a day that the Lyra player has characters in their deck with good stats on the hero expedition that can contest. They're going to have access to 6 cards, and they might be able to force it into an arena round, which is maybe what they need to win this match.
Man, why is the judge Discord always going off when we're busy?
What are they talking about over there?
I don't know. I'm busy. Playing the new Game of Thrones mobile game. Should I be a sellsword, knight, or assassin? Is
Sellsword. You want to be like Braun.
there's a new Game of Thrones mobile game? You better send me the link and tell me what clan we're joining. I'm down to throw down with you. Um, yeah, there's a lot of options for Fen here. But looking at yeah, there's only one Twinkle Twinkle in the discard.
You
We
know
don't know
what's
what's in
crazy?
mana.
This Hatter might be played as a 5 mana 5/5/0 just because the stats line up perfectly for the hero expedition. I can't tell you the last time I saw a Hatter get played from the.
What did we the support effect of oh yeah, because it's the rare meditation training
It'll give a boost.
boost.
And we have a Hydra Cana coming out, and just like that, we are in a position where Ben does not want to go to an arena game because the Tasia is going to start with 10, 10, 10 in stats just beginning that day. So I am so curious to see if the Fen can find a way to clutch one out here and get a win over Tasia with barely any time left on their metaphorical clock.
A Twinkle Twinkle only costs 4 right now, though.
A Twinkle Twinkle here would be enough to win something, but I'm not sure if it's enough to matter.
Yeah, this'll be interesting. The 8 water is pretty strong on the companion side, but we see here that the only thing left for Tasia to do is play that Dracana, and now Fen just has to work through. Interesting.
So, what's more than likely going to happen is we will anchor the aloe vera, give fleeting to their aloe vera, and hope to draw some sort of removal spell for this Hydracana. Otherwise, I'm not seeing a way that they can get out of just immediately starting the turn with such high stats. Anansi coming out, and that is actually enough, barely by one stat, to push them over the top and get a double advancement to answer that Hydracana. What an
Nice.
insane sequence of events. And the Fen, once again, masterfully navigating a situation that I thought was hopeless, taking home that expedition win that I didn't even think was going to come across.
Yeah, Keelan guy in the chat was talking about how it was getting pretty awkward with the double hatter. Fen spending a lot of resources on playing 2 expensive characters, but the clutch Anansi and some other support abilities had Fen going over the top of both a Hydra and a Yongsu and Aloe on the companion side, and whatever else was played in here.
And
But
I can't help but wonder what that game would have looked like if Atasia had played that Muna caregiver on the hero expedition. It's crazy how one mana character with only one statistic change the entire course of a game like that. And that's what I love about Altered.
amen to that. I'm jumping into table 16 as it looks like there's some fight left in this game. And we see Maddox on Sierra.
Ooh, a
Uh,
regular from season 1.
Yeah, I remember speaking with him a little bit about Waru being dead, and I think Sierra and Axiom is where he's turned more of his attention. Um, my hot take is Waru is still fine, and I think uh, high level players are very reactionary to big changes like happened with Waru. I think there's still a lot of proof if people wanted to spend the time that the Waru kit could still be very good. But I don't play Ortis, so
I have the entire opposite opinion. I think that Waru is completely dead in the water as of set 2. I think there is no redeeming qualities for it because it has to put itself on the back foot immediately, and force sleep with no upside for potential taxing your opponents is such a downside to playing just a natural game of Altered. The metrics for it just do not look reasonable whatsoever. If it had
uh,
kept one of the two things of optional sleep or make a token, it would be completely fine. But as it stands, I think it's dead in the water.
uh, shut up, Blue. So I can't believe Runefold, the creator of Hostage Waru, is also saying Waru is so dead. I think if someone wanted to put the time in, there can be a very good way to play Waru in set three, especially. I think people's brain immediately goes to just how you explained it, Simon, but you don't always have to play all bureaucrats early on. But
The
I don't
issue
know.
is when the context of your hand forces you into situations where your opponent is double advancing on you the very first two turns of the game, as opposed to a hero like Gulrong where you can stop one of those advancements. Waru starts off so immediately far behind that they lose any sort of pressure, and that's one of the most valuable resources in Altered.
Some very interesting uniques here on Maddox's side. You may put a card. I do love the otherwise uniques. And this brings up a good question as well to you, Simon, and
Sure.
people in the lovely chat here. W- Uniques in set one versus uniques in set two. What do you think the difference between the two is, and where did it kind of land in your mind?
Um, Uniques in set one have high highs and low lows. Uniques in set two have mid mids and mid mids. There's a lot of good uniques in set two, but they're a lot more harder to find than the good uniques in set one. Um, I think that I'm excited to see the uniques we'll get in set three. And I thought that the uniques in set two were great for people that were looking for playable uniques that didn't already have them. Um, but it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. This Keylon guide does bring up a good point that not only are there less characters in set two for us to get uniques of, but there are also just less set two uniques overall because of less of that product being open compared to the massive money making Kickstarter product that got released. Um, so it could also be a form of confirmation bias that we're experiencing. But back to the game, we have the Aphanis having high enough stats to contest on one expedition, but they're going to force it into an overtime situation where the Sierra will have some maybe potentially strong plays, but the Aphanis is going to have this Bravos Blade Dancer with all of its stats still because of Seasoned being a cool mechanic that keeps it around while it even goes to the reserve. What do you think your favorite mechanic in Altered is?
Uh, Mechanic.
Yeah, like effect or mechanic. Let's say something
Um,
that's an effect that's like in bold.
yeah, so I know people have varying opinions. Real quick, guys, what should my name in Game of Thrones be? Sausage Boy. Uh,
How about Link Lord?
I do want to comment and say that this Bravos Blade Dancer is super nice for a Faunus. When you play a spell, if I have one or more boosts, I gain two
Yeah,
boosts.
it juices itself like berry bonds in the 2000s.
This is going to be a very scary card. I would assume it comes out first to get around.
It has to play around all the sabotage.
Yeah. Um, so people have varying opinions about Trial by Frost. I think since I am less of a sheer competitive player, I like to play competitively, but I don't try hard. I really appreciate the themes and concepts of cards more than their mechanical viability. I know a competitive brain looks at some of the Muna cards as like, why am I giving things to my opponent? I look at them like, oh, that totally fits in with the nature of the faction. So I honestly think my favorite mechanic is exhaust because of how well it fits in Trial by Frost, and specifically, I've said it before, Snowball Commando, and how it in my brain absolutely mimics what it would be like to be in a snowball fight. Like if you throw a snowball at someone, they have a chance to throw one back at you.
That's cool. I like sabotage because I like messing with my opponent's stuff.
Ooh, I like the difference in our answers there.
I just think
That's cool you
sabotage is
said
very
all that,
fun.
but it's sabotage for me. Uh,
Sabotage being able to like interact with the reserve, which is a cool part of altered, while also being a form of like reverse card advantage. It's just one of those effects that just has resonated with me since the start of the game. I honestly think I would be playing Muna more if they had viable sabotage effects. So hopefully that changes with set three. I do like Jack Frost quite a bit though, but a deck doesn't feel quite complete to me without some sort of sabotage. And I think that Muna could potentially get there, but not yet. But it looks like in our current game, whew, Aphanis is just stacking these stats. And with the way the reserve is shaping up, I don't think there's any way Sierra is going to be able to get near enough statistics. But you know what they do have?
Time.
Clock. They
The
have the
clock.
clock. They are currently 5 minutes ahead, while their opponent's 3 minutes into overtime. So this is a situation where one player has taken up more of the chess clock than the opponent has. It is entirely within the rights of the player who is not to let the chess timer clock run out on them, because that is why it is there. It is the most indubitably fair situation.
Yeah, so I don't think you can do the whole skip player's turn in a tournament, but a Faunus, if they were watching their clock, should absolutely have just passed and let the win happen based on stats. So Maddox has 5 minutes on their clock, but when you look at this, that means Maddox is 8 minutes ahead because the other person is negative 3 minutes. Um,
Blue just Simon, but with sunglasses on.
but Maddox forever, the sportsman, does not run down the time, and the Aphanis does win.
There is definitely a side of Simon that does like Ortis. In fact, don't tell anybody, but Ortis is my second favorite faction.
I feel like that was already like known.
Oh yeah, if people knew it about me, they should. I
I
found out that Freeloader's favorite card the other day is Chiron, and he wasn't even playing it for like the first 4 months of the game.
Chiron is actually one of my favorite, and I have heavily favored Chiron over Ogun for quite a while. But as you guys have said, exactly. What table do you want? Because I'm gonna go get some
Um,
water and go to the
we have
bathroom real
not
quick.
watched Ross Cat whatsoever, so let's tune into table one. Looks like they are undefeated as well, and I'm curious to see what they are playing.
All right. Let's see here. Yeah. Like I said on the whole mechanics question, because obviously I play Muna first and foremost. I do love anchoring. I think that is also a very cool mechanic. How I see it is the plants are like literally putting down roots. Also super cool. So I really appreciate just any of those things, and I like how Altered in some cases goes for the vibe and the lore
The
more
flavor
than
of Altered is very, very
yeah.
strong.
Like sometimes people look at a card and be like, "Why the hell does this exist?" And I look at it and I'm like, "This is dope. This fits in the world of Altered." We are in the game Ross Cat on Sigismar versus KRA Kaifu on Sierra. I am gonna go grab some water. So you are in charge, large and in
Absolutely.
charge, but
When am I
not
never not in charge?
as
But we
large
do.
as me.
I'm large, just not tall. So we have the Sigismar taking a cheeky double advance due to that field reinforcements plus the Ordish Trooper coming out. And this is, I think, the exact type of situation that KRA Kaifu is not wanting to happen with this Sierra deck. It can set up a bunch of stats really early and really strong, but their uniques seem to be able to be removed by the powerful Ortis removal spells at their disposal. And getting the back foot so early with the pressure is very difficult to manage. They will be able to make some brass bugs here, and they have the potential to anchor this Potter Otter. But if this Sigismar player, if Rosscat95 has just a simple rallying call followed by tiny jail, that would be deadly. But not showing those cards at the moment. We will see a Moon and Druid support ability come out, anchoring that unique, keeping it around for next turn, hopefully to make some bugs. And actually, some bugs are going to be coming out here, enough to be able to trade expeditions. So not the worst situation possible for Sierra. They are still going to be 2 expeditions behind, but I think it's still a surmountable difference that they can overcome. So the fact that they were able to double advance actually and the opponent only single advanced is relevant there. So now they're only 1 expedition behind, and they have this powerful unique in play that they'll be able to immediately start off the frozen delivery, get stats into play, contest what the opponent's trying to do fun Sierra things with brass bugs. It's what we're here for. Sierra creates bugs. We like eating bugs and reporting them to Board Game Arena. At least I do, anyways. Black hole blue. I am a yapper. It's funny. I can yap with the best of them. But I just don't get to do it often. I'm a very verbose individual. It does not get to express that verbosity at times. I love alliteration too, Blue. It's kind of why my name is the way that it is. Bugs are high in protein per unit of mass, but these bugs are about to get stronger. The Inari in the reserve being able to cycle through this Ouroboros' abilities, creating just a lead, an advantage in statistics, making just so many bugs. And Sierra's ability will come down, making a bug on that side. Just crazy work coming down. Just great plays all around from Sierra to claim back some of that early lead that they lost and setting themselves up for a very powerful mid to late game if the Sigismar player has no cards to answer it with. But this question's for the chat. What's your favorite type of bug to eat? Do you like scorpions? Do you like crickets? Maybe cicadas? I'm a grasshopper kind of guy. Jack Frost coming out, exhausting the Ada Lovelace. Frozen Delivery still an option. Being able to see 2 cards with the John and a Lyra Chronicler. Both have very similar effects here, but I think the Chronicler will end up being better just because it is not reliant on that. Ouroboros Bastion is still in play. 1 cost rare Trooper coming out. Resupply. We see that machine in the ice unique and a frozen delivery. They're almost obligated to keep the unique because that's how their deck is built around. So if there was, say, a sabotage here to answer this machine in the ice, it might be in a pretty sticky situation. Booked would not be a bad card to have in the hand here for KRA Kaifu. Cockroaches have a lot of meat to them. I don't know if y'all have ever had one, but
What
I
the
think they're
heck are you
definitely.
doing now?
We're talking about eating bugs.
Alrighty then. I was gonna come back and talk about how Freeloader just had an episode on Hero's Guide to Asgartha. I don't know who convinced them it would be smart to just have so many AQZ members back to back, but you can go listen to that. They're always really cool episodes to listen to.
What are we guiding? Who are we guiding?
The characters and heroes through the tumult. Black Hole Simon is his OnlyFans name.
I don't know about that one.
Oh, I literally just read the chat and
Did
saw that
someone say
Keelan.
that?
Yeah, I read the chat and saw that Keelan guy asked Freeloader when the podcast episode comes out. Right now, as of like not that long ago. Did you pick a song? So far, you guys have all picked bad songs.
Like an intro song?
Oh, they didn't put a song for Freeloader? Shame, shame.
Because he was freeloading.
No song, no jams for Freeloader. What's the vibe of this game? What you been seeing?
Kaifu gave up an early couple expedition lead, but the Sigismar had some really weak mid-game plays. And because of that, Kaifu has been able to establish a board presence that other characters might not be able to at this part of the game. They're in a pretty good spot here. I don't know if I would have used the Inari, because right now they're just cycling through cards. I may have wanted to keep it for a future turn, but if they're looking for specifically a one cost to play or to go through their deck to reshuffle it, then I
Gotta
think that it
shuffle.
makes sense.
You gotta shuffle.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're like already contesting pretty well.
You
A
just
lot of
always
game
gotta be
actions
shuffling.
happening.
Always be shuffling.
Definitely a lot of game actions happening. Have we seen any cards with support abilities in the new set to activate triggers?
I don't think so. A lot of them are around augments, and there are certain ones where if they have boosts, you can spend a boost to put something to sleep, to maybe give something fleeting, to create a recruit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So ending on one of their very powerful uniques plus a Ada Lovelace for the next turn. If there is no sabotage that comes out from this Sigismar player or another Jack Frost, the Machine on the Ice will create 2 brass bugs when it enters, which is very powerful. But we see a Ordish Trooper coming out, and it's one of those busted S tier, I know what I have, token creation uniques. Being able to take one expedition and tie the other, putting us in a dead even board state. But Sigismar is starting to run low on cards, and that's part of the thing with the Baba Yaga hit. They're not going to have as many ways to gain back that card advantage. So if they choose to place a mana here, then they do not have that many options to play with from their hand. I wouldn't be surprised to see them stick on 7 mana.
What have people been picking up on as the replacement for Baba Yaga?
I think it's really up in the air. Monolith Rune Scribe being a resupply for the rare is not as good as the Baba Yaga, clearly. Also, the stats are just worse on rate for it. I am very curious. very curious overall just to see what people end up going towards. We do have a Heimdall unique coming out. If you have 2 or more permanent sabotage, otherwise exhaust a card in reserve. So we'll probably see that Machine in the Ice getting exhausted. They can also have the regular Heimdall effect to make a character move expeditions, while also having when another character joins my expedition, if you control a token, create an Orders recruit in your other expedition. Now that's only an A tier unique, guys. It doesn't make it in target expedition. You have to have it be in target expeditions to be an S tier. And if it makes 2 tokens, that's an S plus tier. Got to be very clear when labeling your uniques. The difference between A tier, S tier, and S plus tier.
Oh boy. The Rapotter comes out though instead of the
Indeed.
Machine in the Ice.
And with these Axiom Salvager and Ada Lovelace rare or commons in the reserve, there will be brass bugs coming into play, putting down the stats.
Yeah, this Ortis Trooper is actually not very good when it comes to token spammers. So I don't. Well, with both of them. Oh, okay.
It's not terrible,
Yeah,
but
that's
here's
good
the
there though.
thing. This is going to be a situation where the Gibble, I don't know how it's pronounced, can make however many tokens you need. Hopefully, if you see another thing with a support ability, and then if you hit like an Inari, you can just play it on your companion expedition and win both sides. So if the Gibble gets to see another resupply, yeah, this is a very interesting situation. There has to be a perfect set of targets for that. So Inari is gone now.
What's really interesting about these two uniques, and especially the Heimdall having a landmark requirement, is we have not seen any landmarks from the Sigismar. And if there was a Bastion,
Ooh.
would have been much better.
So the Chronicler is going to be able to see one more card. And if that's a character that can match the stats on this Rapotter Otter expedition, like an Inari, we're in a very, very interesting situation. Foundry mechanic is even better. They can play the Ada Lovelace and Foundry mechanic on this same turn, putting them to 7 mountain, which is enough to cause a double advance and win this game of Altered. Wow. Talk about a sequence of perfect hits from our support ability resupplies.
Yep, Rosscat calls the GG in the chat, seeing what is going to happen here. And Kaifu just has to finish it up exactly how you said. Also, while creating another little brass bug over here based on that Lovelace.
So powerful. I think that this is one of the coolest decks that Altered has to offer. The uniques being build arounds that have interaction points while just creating a situation where the deck building is entirely different than the way that other players build decks. I think is one of the cool ways to look at uniques in a game of Altered. Now, we will have a grand finals for this tournament. We have 2 players who are currently undefeated. We have KRA Kaifu with their Sierra and Oddball deck. We also have Rune Cheese with Lyra's Fen and Crowbar. So we still have a couple games to get to before we get to those actual finals. But for now, how do we feel about hopping into table number 10?
Chef Breadstick.
And John Cast. I don't think we've seen either of them play today.
I don't think I've ever seen
It
Chef
looks like we have a
Breadstick.
Subash and Marmo versus Afanis and Senka. Feel like I definitely would have remembered this. So I'm very excited to watch this game. And it looks like the Subash and Marmo's actually a little bit ahead.
Yep. I would have definitely remembered the name Chef Breadstick. So if you are ever watching the stream or the VOD. Shout out to Wonderful Names.
You
We
like
love to see
breadsticks,
it.
Cole?
I do. I love breadsticks. The reason I have started to get a 30-year-old tummy is from pastries and bread.
What's your ideal dipping thing for breadsticks?
Probably just marinara or
Marinara.
garlic butter sauce
Okay.
from Papa John's. So good. But I usually leave the racism at the store.
Good call. Is the garlic butter vegan?
It is. It is. It
There's
is.
no way. Are you serious?
True facts.
I did not know that.
It's not butter.
I can't believe it's not butter.
uh,
Um, we have a Sunisa coming out from the Afanas and Zenka. Very interesting to see Sunisa see play.
yeah. We haven't watched John Cast yet, right? We've seen some really interesting Afanis decks. Do you think that is entirely because of the changes, or
I think it's people wanting to experiment, and it's at the end of the season. Some people might already have their invitation. Some players might just be trying stuff out before a new set comes around. But all in all, I'm here for it. I think it's really cool seeing this innovation from our players and just overall people trying new things. I think that's one of the cool parts about Altered is that it can truly be tweaked however you like for the deck building. There's not really a right and wrong way to play, just good and bad ways.
yeah, this is so. I know it's really hard when people's performing deck gets hit. But this is kind of the stuff that I think is really exciting that comes out of erratas or suspensions. I've said it a million times, but I think the game became the most interesting it's ever been after the Robin Hood errata. And if this is what comes out of the Aphanis one, not the hero specifically, but the changes, I'm all for it. Although I mean, I guess the Sunisa is probably because there's some chrysalises in here, right? Maybe,
I would
possibly,
anticipate that being something.
because otherwise, the only thing I don't like about this is the fact that there's Sunisa in Aphanis.
Now, Blizzard would not. Oh, Blizzard could be enough here, actually. Will we see Afanas play Blizzard in 2025 May?
I don't even know what's happening right now. Blues leaking secrets or something.
Blue's talking about Boston Air. We are going to see a Blizzard come out.
Dang!
That is a backbreaker of a card here. Wow.
I love how Chef Breadstick called it in the chat.
They
I gotta
absolutely
hope
did.
you don't run Blizzard. Ouch.
And John Cast coming back from the brink of destruction, the Beauty Sleep and Blizzard for the ages, taking that double advancement. Wow. I love Altered.
uh, Uncle Poe is here with us too.
Dude, Kung Fu Panda 2 is absolute cinema. Better than the first, and way better than the third and fourth.
What's your favorite animated movie of all time?
Your Name, good one.
Hmm.
I like Weathering with You as well. Princess Mononoke is probably up there. Um, Trying to think of other like Western animated movies that I like.
Ooh, I'd hopped into the Keelon Guy game because it's still going.
Ratatouille. It's kind of the story of my life.
Story of your life.
We don't talk
Interesting.
about it. I don't know. There's a lot of good animated movies.
Fun fact, I hate both Ratatouille and Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Do you also hate fun and whimsy?
Yes. Uh, so very, very interesting game here where the companion side for Tasia has only moved one spot, and the hero side for Fen has only moved one spot. There is a Hydra here. Tasia is first, so this Hydra could become a little more tough. But Fen is Fen. Um, this Anansi is actually not super big from reserve, which is interesting. No, in regards to Ratatouille and Finding Nemo, I don't know if this was a thing in every other like school district, but growing up in Utah, if a teacher showed a movie that was like above PG, they had to send home a letter to get signed in high school, by the way, high school. Uh,
Above PG or above G?
maybe both sometimes.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, there's no way that Ratatouille is PG-13. Because otherwise, Remy would have had the main character drop an F bomb. I'm telling you right now.
That's the point though. So whenever you have those days where a teacher does not want to teach and they just put on a movie to keep it safe and not make any parents mad, not require any permission slips, the choices were always Finding Nemo or Ratatouille
It's
over and
extremely
over
funny.
and over. And I have seen probably both of them more than anyone who actually likes them. So I'm done. I'm done with them.
So we have AQZ the Keylon guy with a unique Anansi in that reserve. Returning spells to hand, but not having high stats. Interesting choice. We got some cost reducers. We've got some removal spells. Got a lot of options. But you know what they don't have options for? Dealing with this Hydrocana. Because it is about to be a massive problem if we go to a tiebreaker round.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you had longer to set up for it, you would want to give it fleeting and then maybe deal with it another day with a cloth cocoon or something. Or now sleeping it is going to cost 4. Where if the Fen was first player, well, there's the sleep for 4. If the Fen was first player on this turn, it would have only cost 2 or 3, right? Because Hydra itself, yes.
Yeah, it would have been one, or it would have been three, correct.
Yeah. So, but the Hydra is asleep. Um,
I almost wonder if it would have been
Anansi,
better to keep the sleep for the arena, unless they think they can get a double advancement here. They do have 6 mana to work with when we look at all of these. Ooh. No, they have the 6 mana to work with because of all the support abilities. They can play both the Anansi and an Off You Go if they choose to, while also having room for another spell.
yep.
Because the Anansi can pick up that Off You Go. I think they're going to try to push for an actual win here from the Keylong guy.
There's also the chance of Anansi from the top rope with that super built up reserve right now. But probably more likely what you're saying, that Anansi having the you may return a spell from anywhere um, is a little more clutch in this specific situation.
Absolutely.
This is the really hard part for Tasia and maybe Muna in specific. If you cannot set up early or your setup gets disrupted, it's just so hard for you to come back in any circumstances. And we've seen it time and time again during this tournament. In the discard, we see one of those bastions. Playing out a bastion is really a big turn for Tasia. Um, so it's hard once this falls off the rails. I think next set there will be some more 1 or 2 cost options that might help out Muna in general.
Now, I would be remiss if I would not bring up the fact that we are quite low on time, but I don't think it's going to matter because this Anansi can bring back an off you go while being on. Oh, we just have an Anansi from the hand. Keelong guy had it all. Look at this guy knowing everything. We don't know the answers. He does. That's why he was our season 1 invitational champion.
I mean, rewind the tape and know that I may not play well, but I called it. So that's all I'm saying. I called it.
Keelong guy coming back from a tragic ending on Sunday's Ace tournament. Not being able to get quite the result he wanted there, but I guess he just had all the answers this time. And you know what I have for you this time? The 6th and final round.
Woo! We go on top table.
Of course we are. We have to simply watch peak tier gameplay between two of Altered's long-standing players. And it looks like one of them has immediately selected the wrong deck, which is grounds for a disqualification.
Let me guess, it was Runefolk.
Yeah. Now, all jokes aside, we're going to have a very fun situation.
Just want to also say that Keelan Guy and I are on team Fen is the best deck in the room. State your allegiances ahead of Saturday for the invitational. And if you want to take it a little further but different, let us know what demo deck you think is going to win on Sunday. I will not reveal the cast's picks because we're putting those together for something special on Sunday.
Will-O-the-Wisp coming out. Probably the worst turn 1 opener you can have in Fen. No, it's actually not that powerful of one. Just giving all of the stats to your opponent to work with means that there are situations where you just get absolutely hosed.
Yeah, that was an interesting turn, though. It seems Rune Cheese did not have a ton to answer the other side with, so they just take the 1-for-1.
Yeah, we're going to have a ships passing in the night kind of moment. Now, I am curious if the Fen player will have the correct removal options at the right time for the powerful Axiom uniques that Sierra and Oddball has at their disposal. What is a tier 2 at Gen Con, Blue? What does that mean?
I think it's the pay structure. I haven't not even looked at mine yet because of this, and I took a nap.
Powerful play of magical training coming out.
There's a 40% chance of scattered rain in Dallas tomorrow.
That's crazy. There's a 100% chance of me having work tomorrow.
Oh, I don't want to.
I almost called in today. I wasn't feeling the best. So y'all should consider it a pleasure that I'm here tonight casting for you. Hopefully it's been enjoyable for you. If you've had a fun time in this stream tonight, put in the live chat what your favorite moment was. Was it talking about bug eating? Was it talking about no sneezer shrooms? Was it talking about fascist Girl Scout cookies? The choice is yours. Tons of options. Tons of options.
The choice is yours at Chuckarama.
I don't know about that.
You cannot put daddy as your preferred first name unless it matches what you put on your application and what your name is in Discord. So we are tied up here. Um, I'm not sure when Sierra and this deck really wants the Ouroboros out. I would assume that it's before now, but
Yeah, usually on turn 2, maybe turn 1 is where you want to see it. It's going to be very interesting to see because right now we're neck and neck on expeditions, and if the Fen can accurately answer the uniques, that's where the entire power level of Sierra's deck has built around. Um, if there are not those uniques to make strong plays with, they don't have crazy high stats for their characters. So something like a single Anansi can be enough to just absolutely outstat every character you want to play.
welcome in, Maddox. We were talking about your great reign on Waru and your pivot to Sierra, which is also very cool. I'm glad that this is now your favorite part. Um, Looking at it here, it's looking pretty good for Kaifu on this, depending on what can be played on the companion section. No, it just looks like it's going to be once again a move for a move, which is not bad for either hero, really.
Now, right now they're just, trading expeditions, trying to assemble a game plan. Sierra is trying to get a situation set up where they can safely deploy a landmark and start churning through that reserve, while Fen has amassed 5 cards in hand, 6 after the draw for turn, and they're going to have 2 in their reserve. So they've now set up situations where they have plenty of strong, viable options in their deck. One of those upsides to Fen, if you have an early turn involving those Ink Casters or Hathors, is you can generate so much card advantage. Being able to play cards and draw cards is so powerful in a game of Altered, and Fen does it probably the best out of every character in the game.
Yep, we have two bad bitches here neck and neck on the expedition. They might kiss, we don't know. Brings up a very good question. Who do you ship in the world of Altered if there were a time where people started getting together and creating relationships in Altered? I don't think we have any currently, right? Just siblings or
Um, what do you mean currently?
I don't think there are any couples in the lore. Well, with heroes specifically yet, right? Or
With heroes specifically, Basira has a husband and grandkids. Maybe just kids. Basira is definitely taken. I know that from the lore. Atsadi lost their lover to crystallization. That's how they lost their arm. Um, Subash apparently is trying to flirt with a character that is a news reporter from the lore. Going down the list. Um, Kojo is in a relationship with one of his. It's kind of a situationship with one of his alt run teammates.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, Kojo's gay, right?
Correct.
So I mean,
So pretty much
2025.
all of the Bravos heroes are taken.
Yeah, I mean, not a heteronormative relationship. Kojo's probably playing the field.
For Lyra, I don't think any of them Nuna, none. But I could see Rin or Tasia partnering up with one of the main casts sometime soon. And like opposites attract, so I could easily see them like joining in with Axiom because like nature and industry. Let's see. What else? Ordis.
Yeah,
Or
I guess it's hard to ship heroes with heroes because they have all interacted at some point and are maybe more likely to be with someone in their realm.
hmm,
So I'm gonna say Theseus and Basira. That's my new age ship. Uh, Technically, actually, my one for Tasia is already Navenka. So,
you're
uh,
shipping Basira with someone while they're already partnered?
well, I thought you said that their husband died.
No.
Hmm. I should know this because I read the Basira story, but I don't.
Well, I'm thinking now. I know they have a husband. I can't remember if their husband dying is what made them.
I think so.
Their family died. I know their family died. I don't
Yeah.
think their husband died. Like their like siblings and parents died. I
Yeah,
can't remember if the husband died in like a later time frame.
because Basira also almost died, and Kazaimon is the one that saved her, right? Because she was like,
Yes.
the ship was attacked and she was
Kids are alive,
drowning.
partner died. Okay. Yeah, muscle mommy can get it, and if she wants to get it my way, a okay with me.
Simon's gonna put himself into altered.
If Loki can do it, I can do it too. My
uh,
bad, Nosk. Nosk.
yeah. Fen has taken a lead here. I think seeing Sierra not having access to the Lyra Bastion earlier is shaping up to be a pretty big downside. Um, this Lyra Cloth Dancer was played before. I think I missed kind of what it
Oh yeah, you were
targeted,
talking
but
about ships. It only targeted a brass bug. It didn't do anything. But the important thing was it was asleep, so it got to stick around. And it's going to give this Repotter Otter fleeting.
yep, it is up to one target character gains fleeting.
How are AQZ Orox doing today, Keelon guy?
I saw Freeloader was winning in an arena, but I think there were at least one or two game drops, so pretty good, all things considered. So maybe I'll just have to copy Freeloader's Arok deck, or force him to make me a new one for season 3.
It actually looks like Freeloader is about to win and go 4-2 on the day.
Are in a padded room. Why are we put in a padded room? I think Freeloader and I are the only Arok enjoyers in AQZ.
All right, so we have a Haven Sirengar jammed on out from our Fen player.
Ooh,
You
I
know what
don't.
would be terrifying here? And off you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the second Bastion might be a little too
The,
late.
the thing is with Sierra, it's gonna make another token, but an off you go here is yup.
Ouch.
Yes, very much so. Ouch. And that's only 17 cards left in the deck for Fen, which is and the uniques are just taunting Kaifu here, seeing all three of them with no mana to play. Unfortunately, no means to play cards. They will end up losing this game on this day. But a pretty well fought match overall. Just Fen doing Fen card advantage things.
So Keelan guy is also in the padded room with us. That's good to know. Hopefully cooking up some of that fantastic food that he's talked about before. Um,
I cannot wait to go get real food after I get off this commentary.
yeah. Great performance by both players. I think in my predictions, I did weigh it more towards the players that were in the invitational on Saturday. I think if I were to specifically only pick a hero, I would definitely go for Fen winning it all on Saturday. But currently, my choices are split between other things that you'll read when the blog post comes out. Do we have a ETA on that being live?
I'm expecting it to be sometime on Friday.
Friday. Okay,
And if
cool.
not, I will publish it myself.
Fair enough. Where would you like to go now?
To bed, honestly. But let's go ahead and take a look at table number 3.
All right. Yeah, I think we have just enough time for one more game here before we start wrapping it up. The other tables are further along. And do we come in and see? No, this is going to stall it for another little bit, but we're almost seeing a Tasia win here. I feel like we've seen too many Siggies without landmarks down. Um,
And
I'd have to.
that's always going to be hard for them to get enough statistics.
Yeah. So, going back to the sheet that Keelan guy put together, I think we'll hear a lot more about it on Saturday. But just to give you another taste, I don't think we've seen any sacrifice centered decks. We have seen monolith, but really not enough. See, this is why I only did the busy work for this form because one of the variations is landmarkless Siggy here, which is a aggressive configuration contesting the tumult virtually every day, typically on both sides. So I am not as used to it, but Keelan Guy has it down pat. Inkcaster is better mage dancer.
Oh, this
Oh,
Anubis.
there it is. It's the
Disgusting.
sacrifice. Yeah. Another really hard hitter against Tasia. Gets around Spindle. As we've talked about before, when Tasia has to sacrifice a character,
Oh, but will the Sigismar have stats to actually? They do. Oh my gosh, the Sigismar player turned it around,
damn.
proving that Spindle does not matter when I make you sacrifice.
Yeah, and that's honestly
Difference between
my
me and Samoa Joe.
that's honestly my hardest part with Spindle is I don't know why, but in my matchups it very commonly just does not matter. If this would be me, this is exactly what would happen to me, or something like a blizzard, or just completely getting outstatted. I think I have a big problem of not just focusing on winning one side when I'm ahead, which is what I'm going to work on next season. But that basically brings us to the end here of AWOL Wednesday, the final regular season week. We have some games just barely finishing up here, but they'll be over in a moment. What would you like to tell the people, Simon?
Big weekend of events. It would mean a lot to us if you could support it either by playing or spectating at some point over the weekend. Thanks again for being here throughout the entire season. 15 weeks, twice a week is 30 different events. That's more than some locals get in a year for a card game. The fact that you all have shown up and shown out every single time means a lot to me. So hopefully we can bring on some amazing action for you this weekend on Saturday for the seasonal invitational, as well as on Sunday for our demo deck tournament. And moving forward, we'll have a survey for the end of the season, just like the end of season one, where we'll be taking some feedback and maybe tweaking and modifying things a little bit based off of your answers. So please fill that out. There will be giveaways involved with it too. So there's something that's worth the time for you to do it, and it helps make AWOL better. So it is really appreciated. But for now, I don't think I have anything else other than show up and thanks for supporting us throughout the year so far and have fun playing Altered.
Yeah, wonderfully said. And if you're watching this on the VOD because you normally can't watch live content, know that Saturday and Sunday the channel will basically be live from 9 a.m. Central Standard Time until about 4 p.m. Most likely later, with how a lot of things go. BGA does cut out a lot on some of the extensions that you see in person tournaments, but things still happen. And if you hated my commentary, on Saturday we'll have a huge rotating cast.
Oh, such a rotating cast.
such a rotating cast. Tom will be back and will be casting with Keelan guy, which will be super great. And then to give us a little bit of some espresso halfway through the event, Runefolk and Pandy will be on stream together, making everyone smile and laugh. And we'll have Blue and we'll have Chili and everyone else out and about. So definitely come and at least pop in and say hi on Saturday and Sunday if you can. And if not, VODs are always on the YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe because we're almost at 500, and that's when you become important.
Yeah, just again, thank you for the support this season. Couldn't have done it without the people willing to play. So looking forward to the weekend, and we've got a bright future ahead for Altered.
Amen to that. I am getting reports in the chat of Nevenka's dueling it out. I'm hoping that's this table that is the least progressed. It is. I won't hold Simon hostage, but I will finish out this game for the stream if that's what they want.
I am indeed going to take off and get some food. But
Do
thank
it.
you for having me as a caster. I know it's not my normal role, but it has been enjoyable, just like always. And hopefully, I get to talk to you all soon. So, peace.
Thanks, Simon. We'll see you soon. All right. Now it's just me. Both players on 111 ELO. We've got Dreadbeard, another great name, against Red Wingnut, which I recognize from around Discord. America versus America. And I think we've seen a couple Garricks in different Lyra hero decks tonight. If you control one or more landmarks, I gain 2 boosts. This is actually going to be a very good Nevenka unique come season 3. I am not certain if it will be played. I'm still kind of on the fence, but Wayfarer, a new landmark that is really good for Nevenka, will help this Garrick pop off. And as they're saying in chat, there's a huge martingale, there's a chocolate bar, and this other Nevenka across the way from the Garrick is a Lyra Bastion. Nevenka. I'm very glad that Runefolk also gets to cast with Tom. Tom is a delight as always. It'll be great to see everyone on the cast. I don't think I missed anyone. I think I mentioned every name. Oh, apologies, Geo. Geo will also be there on Saturday. I missed that because I mostly skipped over myself and looked at the other names first. So I think this is very clearly going well. Let's see. It's Red Wing. Dang. It would have been really great if the Nevenka on the top had played another character. Or, oh, you can hook it away from the chocolate bar. That also does shut it off. So hooked here is still very interesting. Um, I thought it would have been funny to hook a second character into the chocolate bar, shutting it off, but this works too. Yeah, Nevenka is getting a lot of cool tools. Um, I think the Wayfarer is absolutely fun. Um, Hypothetically, the rare is better. If there's not rare slots, I think being that Nevenka does not need the other Bastion for the dice rolling, I think there's a spot, a chance for common Wayfarer in Nevenka, but people that want hyper consistency might not enjoy it. I'm reading the rules for getting hired at Gen Con. We can't be drunk on the job. This is bullshit. Classic. Yeah, this this Martingale is still around. Character in hand to win. Yeah, I wonder if there's another hooked. Another hooked could end up being really funny as we go into another day. And all in on the Asmodeus is very interesting as an opener as well. Yeah, the only thing I see missing from Red Wingnut's Nevenka deck is a landmark, which would go really well with this Garrick. Yes, there was one Heimdall played by Red Wingnut, and Dreadbeard, for the most part, has more classic Nevenka cards outside of this energy bar and the Lyra Bastions. Oh, there's another Heimdall from Red Wingnut. Um, yeah, it's not too great at this moment, though. It would have been great if it was played after this. Why were there 3 dice rolled? What? Oh my gosh. I did not know that the Lyra Bastion was this chain. I'm dumb. It's late. We watched so much Sierra that I just like assumed that it was the same. But this is the dice rolling landmark for Nevenka. Duh. Seeing 3 dice though was funny. Yeah, that's huge. I feel like the Heimdall was just a wrong order in sequencing. Um, and the energy bar Nevenka takes the win. Very, very interesting here. All right, everybody. I need to run to the store. I need to go to sleep soon, I guess, because I have to work a real job. So if anyone wants to make it so I don't have to work a real job and get to do this all day, just let me know. And that was a very good event. I, no joke, love the end of season. I think it is one of the more exciting times in. Where's the Abbey for this? This one? Yeah. I think it's one of the more exciting times in Altered. People are cooking up some interesting things. It's a lot of fun. So tomorrow is Thursday, right? So if you want more tournament action, check out the AQZ tournament. If you've never heard of it, don't know about it, feel free to reach out to me or Keelan Guy if you need to find the information. You've seen us around in chat. And you get Adventure Pass for it, sponsored by Man of Games. AWOL will be back on Saturday and Sunday right here with even more lovely casters and more tournament action and a lot of excitement going into the weekend and the new set coming out. Friday, I don't know anything on Friday off the top of my head. So if you run a tournament on Friday, I'm sorry. My bad. But there are some async tournaments, which are kind of fun actually. So thank you all for watching. Fun fact, Simon didn't shut off his browser camera. I can turn it on. That's hilarious. Now we know all in Bastion Nevenka is strictly better than all in Heimdall Nevenka. I run a Friday invitational. Only I'm invited. All right, everyone DM Maddox Faction and ask for an invite just so that he can tell you no. But I've talked too much. Thank you, everyone in chat. I will see you tomorrow. If I don't, hopefully I will see you back here on Saturday and Sunday. Adios.